The year 2020 marks a catastrophic turning point in mysterious human history. In that year, portals to other dimensions began to appear. Gates began to appear, and something extraordinary began to happen in this peaceful world. The opening of the portal has unleashed a terrifying wave of attacks that will threaten survival on Earth. Thus, human governments around the world sent soldiers to investigate what was behind the portals. But strangely, none of them managed to return after entering the portals. Everything became even more chaotic after the portals turned red, and at the same time all kinds of monsters appeared, with overwhelming strength that crushed all modern weaponry. Since then, the monsters began to slaughter humans indiscriminately. However, in the midst of the chaos, there were a few selected humans, where they received gifts in the form of strength and skills by transcendent beings, and they were known as hunters, who had extraordinary powers to fight monsters and save humanity from human extinction. With the hunters at the forefront, humanity began its counterattack. The salvation of mankind from extinction now seems to be in the hands of strong hunters, who have various powers that allow them to fight monsters. Among these countless hunters, there was an extraordinary figure known as the Demon King who stood out from the rest of the hunters for his ability to develop independently through hunting and with the special qualities of player. Immortal soldiers and dominion over fire are just two examples of the many manifestations of hunters. But the immense power possessed by this demon lord is feared even by the 12 heroes possessing extraordinary powers who call themselves gods. However, through the influence of the 12 greatest heroes, the heroes whose strength had been far surpassed by this demon king began to unite and fight back against the demon king, erasing him from history. Those who had been called as gods decided to create something they called Eden. Since then, hunters were then considered a new human subspecies, and those who could not become hunters were considered slaves. Since the world had been completely dominated by hunters, it leaves those unable to awaken their powers subjected to constant humiliation and discrimination. 100 years have passed since the Demon Lord was erased from history. Attention turns to the main character named Lee Jun-gyung, who trains with his mentor Sung Gu-hyung during this training session. Revealed that Lee Jun-gyung was one of the unfortunate individuals who had yet to awaken his hunter abilities. Despite the lack of awakening, Lee Jun-gyung refused to give up and continued to train tirelessly, hoping to attract the attention of supporters who could help him awaken, but after years of training under Sung Gu-hyung's tutelage, there was no sign of any progress. Lee Jun-gyung started to feel hopeless and doubted the value of his efforts. It was at this time that Sung Gu-hyung realized Lee Jun-gyung's struggles, slapped him, and reminded him of his true motivation to become a hunter to challenge the system of discrimination practiced by Eden and hunters. Lee Jun-gyung snapped back to reality and redoubled his efforts to achieve his dream. Sung Gu-hyung convinced Lee Jun-gyung that he would become a hunter one day, and reminded him to always carry the book his parents left behind, the very important autobiography of the Demon King. Despite not understanding its content, Lee Jun-gyung always carries a book with him as instructed by his teacher. Suddenly, their conversation was interrupted by an attack from above, but Sung Gu-hyung's trained instincts allowed him to save Lee Jun-gyung. It is later revealed that the attack was initiated by a woman named Athena, who is actually one of the 12 overreaching heroes of Eden. It is clear from his immense strength that he is a force to be reckoned with, which caused Lee Jun-gyung to cower and terror just by looking at the hero of Eden. Athena initially did not suspect that Lee Jun-gyung might not have the book she was looking for, after learning that Lee Jun-gyung had absolutely no magic in his body. But after meeting Lee Jun-gyung, she sensed that Lee Jun-gyung had magic even in a small way, and this made Athena feel strange, and she demanded that Lee Jun-gyung reveal any items that he had hidden from her. Her hunch proves correct when she finds out that Lee Jun-gyung does indeed have the coveted autobiography regarding the Demon Lord. The facts regarding this should not be known to the public, and anyone who has or knows the slightest bit of this information will be destroyed. This made Athena very angry, and she stated that Lee Jun-gyung did not deserve mercy and should be sentenced to death for possessing a book or knowledge about demon kings that had been erased from history. Athena's attack was stopped by Sung Gu-hyung's intervention. Here, Lee Jun-gyung witnessed the astonishing display of Sung Gu-hyung's strength, who easily threw one of the greatest of 12 heroes into a far corner. Sung Gu-hyung's strength made Lee Jun-gyung dumbfounded. He wondered about Sung Gu-hyung's real identity. The impossible situation caused Li to remain silent, feeling the gravity of the situation. Then Sung Gu-hyung asked a thought-provoking question to Li Jun-gyung. What if he gains great power, can he change the world system? At first, Li Jun-gyung was doubtful because he wasn't even a hunter and had lost his confidence after witnessing Eden's extraordinary power. But when he observed Sung Gu-hyung's extraordinary strength, Li Jun-kyung got assurance and realized that he could make a difference in the world by promising to keep his word. Li Jun-gyung agreed to accept the challenge proposed by Sung Gu-hyung. Sung Gu-hyung smiled. Hearing Li Jun-gyung's determination and promise, he knew that Li Jun-gyung had the potential to bring change to the world, even though he was not a hunter. Therefore, Sung Gu-hyung without hesitation drew his sword and killed Li Jun-gyung right then and there. Li Jun-gyung took his last breath, and with a flash at the same time, Li Jun-gyung was engulfed by an intense yellow and white light radiating from his body. In a state of complete confusion, Li Jun-gyung didn't know what Sung Gu-hyung did to him, but at the same time a system message appeared to execute the contract. The fall of heaven is supporting Li Jun-gyung. Showing ominous significance for what Sung Gu-hyung had done to him, Li Jun-kyung suddenly finds himself transported to an unknown place and shrouded in mystery. As he takes stock of his physique, he becomes acutely aware of the immense power coursing through his veins, indicating that he has indeed awakened and become a hunter. Li Jun-gyung looked around and started to notice that he had been transported inside the gates. The realization chilled him to the bone as soon as he came face to face with goblins. Creatures he had only ever heard of through word of mouth, caused him to cower in fear and search for the sanctuary, as well as confirming the fact that he was actually currently inside the dungeon gate. After remembering Sung Gu-hyung's words, Li Jun-gyung mustered up the courage to attack despite being a rookie hunter. He had undergone 1 year's training under Sung Gu-hyung's tutelage. Guided by the teacher with determination in his heart, Li Jun-gyung prepared to fight the goblin in front of him. As he lunged forward, he found himself unexpectedly delivering such a powerful punch that landed right on the goblin's head until he was astonished by his current strength, as the punch he gave was fatal, and the goblin fell to the ground lifeless. Li Jun-gyung was left in doubt, unable to believe the newfound strength coursing through his veins. After deftly dispatching its first goblin, a system notification popped up informing Li Jun-gyung that the Fall of Heaven was closely monitoring his progress. Remembering the words just now, Li Jun-gyung realized that the Fall of Heaven was the Demon King's supporter. Returned to terror, as waves of goblins descended upon the area led by the imposing goblin chieftain, whose mere presence struck fear into Li Jun-gyung's heart. As panic makes Li Jun-gyung doubt his ability to defeat the monstrous creature, he wonders if he can bite off more than he can chew. Thorough research showed that Goblin Chieftain was still a formidable dungeon boss, and at least a C-rank hunter was needed to hunt him down, even though he had just recently been resurrected, making this a daunting challenge for Li Jun-gyung. To overcome his fear, Li Jun-gyung refuses to give up and fights monsters even if it means risking everything he has. Thus he charged forward and slashed several goblins, overpowering them in his stance. With every goblin he defeated, Li Jun-gyung's level increased, making him stronger. Suddenly, in the middle of the battle, the Fall of Heaven showed its support by conferring on him as the rule of fire's authority. Li Jun-gyung quickly put his weapon to use and attacked the Goblin Chieftain, determined to take him down. With spear in hand, he manages to kill monsters that level up again. Exhausted from the fierce battle, Li Jun-kyung finally fainted from exhaustion, but not before achieving a hard-fought victory. Luckily, in this unconscious situation, Li Jun-gyung was found by another hunter, who then helped him. As he slowly regains consciousness, he realizes that he is in a hospital and receiving treatment. As he was trying to make sense of the situation, he heard one of the nurses present mention the League Guild. He thinks the League Guild has played an important role in saving Li Jun-gyung. Realizing how close he was to losing his life overwhelmed him, and he felt grateful for the timely intervention. As he tries to regain his bearings, Li Jun-gyung can't help but wonder about this year. The nurse felt his confusion, telling him that it was 2022. This was a new surprise for Li Jun-gyung, and he couldn't believe it, and didn't expect to be thrown into the past, or to be precise about 98 years ago, and still trying to process the fact that he missed 100 years or so. Upon inquiring further, he learned that many outstanding hunters had appeared in the current year. each vying to make a name for themselves. This year is specially hailed as the Age of Heroes. As soon as Lee Jun-kyung found out about the corruption in the discrimination system, he took action driven by a burning desire to bring about change. He refuses to sit idly by and watch countless innocent lives destroyed by the injustices perpetrated by those in power. He is determined to fight for what is right, no matter the cost. Without hesitation, Lee Jun-kyung carried out his plan, determined to become stronger than the 12 transcendent heroes who controlled the system to eventually become known as Eden. He knows that the road ahead will be long and dangerous, but he is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goal. Before he can begin his mission, however, he needs to heal from his previous injuries. He is focused on his recovery, determined to come back stronger and more determined than ever. One afternoon, Lee Jun-kyung was visited by a man named Kim, who introduced himself as a member of the association. Kim arrives demanding to know who Lee Jun-kyung is and why he entered the gate alone. Lee Jun-kyung said that he suddenly appeared at the gate, unable to remember anything about his past. He kept the truth about being thrown back in time to himself, and for no apparent reason, he wanted to use the name of the Demon King, Lee Jun-kyung. Kim decides to meet Lee Jun-kyung again later, hoping to uncover the truth about this mysterious newcomer. After Kim left, Lee Jun-kyung checked his status and found that he was the same player status as the Demon King. Different from hunters who need supporters or sponsorship of sponsors to grow stronger, players can become stronger only with their own strength. He became the only person who could grow stronger by hunting, the Demon King, and currently Lee Jun-kyung is a player. His mind races with the possibilities as he tries to make sense of his new power. He is both excited and scared and unsure about what this means for his future. But one thing is for sure, he is determined to use his new power to bring about change and create a better future for himself and those around him. As Lee Jun-kyung recovers in the hospital, he can barely contain his excitement. He knows that his plan is finally within reach and he is eager to make it happen. After several days of rest and recovery, he was given permission to leave the hospital and return home. As he walked around, Lee Jun-kyung was struck by the city's vibrant energy. He is delighted to find that he has been thrown into the Age of Heroes and finds himself downtown where hunters gather. Just as he was taking it all in, he was approached by association member Kim. Kim was intrigued by Lee Jun-kyung's unusual state and extended an invitation to join the association. Kim offers to give Lee Jun-kyung a new place to live and an identity. He was impressed by Lee Jun-kyung's accomplishments and congratulated him on becoming a hunter. As someone born with such potential, Lee Jun-kyung will receive special treatment support and resources to help him develop his skills and fulfill his potential in the association. Kim acknowledged that an individual with talent and ability like Lee Jun-kyung was rare and had the potential to become a powerful hunter capable of making significant gains and making contributions to the world. Lee Jun-kyung arrived at his new inn and was surprised by the high quality of the facilities provided. With Kim informing him that someone was dying to meet him, which culminated in Lee Jun-kyung's curiosity when he finally met the person in question. He is pleased to learn that it is none other than Sung-gu Hyung, the highly respected guild master of the Guild League and former teacher of Lee Jun-kyung. Lee Jun-kyung could hardly believe his luck to be reunited with his former mentor. As Lee Jun-kyung ponders a cryptic message from his mentor from the future, he gradually concludes that Yang orchestrating his journey back in time depends on the motivation for this action, clearly driven by his unwavering commitment to building a just and harmonious world order, although it cannot divulge the information to others. Lee Jun-kyung felt a great feeling. Lee Jun-kyung is in debt for his safety from a bleak and uncertain future. Lee Jun-kyung finally realized that Sung-gu Hyung was a hero who had been forgotten because people thought he was dead. Heimdall, Yoseong-gu. Lee Jun-kyung's eyes opened wide as he received instructions for his next assignment. He learned that he had to take part in the beginner's tutorial for working hunters to find talented individuals who could aid the Hunters Association's pursuit. B-Rank Hunter Bae Sang-soo, currently at the tutorial, offers guidance to the participants, enabling them to conquer any challenges that will come their way in the future. Hunters were filled with fiery enthusiasm, fueled by the prospect of gaining entry into the country's premier union. As the tutorial draws near, Sang-soo asks some hunters a thought-provoking question, asking them to articulate the reason behind supporters granting hunters immense power. The hunters found themselves at a loss for words, unable to come up with an explanation for this mystery's sudden moment of clarity. Lee Jun-kyung voiced his opinion, indicating that supporter did it for entertainment purposes, such as a virtual world where one chooses a character and observes its growth and development journey. Lee Jun-kyung's insights bear fruit, just like he did witnessing the Demon King's fierce battle in his past life. Meanwhile, the tutorial started. The challenge seemed uncomplicated. Each hunter had to fight a pre-prepared group of goblins. Closely for the task at first, trembling ripples through the hunters as they contemplate how to deal with a lone goblin. However, Sang-soo inflames their fears, explaining that the goblins have been brainwashed and thus unable to harm humans, to sway the remaining hunters to demand reinforcements, meaning to reiterate that he will be on hand to provide assistance should any unforeseen circumstances arise. Official tutorial begins. In progress, the hunters vary greatly. As their individual experiences, some emerge victorious, while others fail to reach their goal. Lee Jun-kyung, like his colleagues, faces challenges to defeat strong opponents. But while others face standard goblins, Lee Jun-kyung's task is more daunting. He must face formidable orcs, enemies that present challenges far greater than those faced by his colleagues who have little experience fighting, let alone defeating such powerful creatures. Sang-soo explains that Lee Jun-kyung has previously faced and defeated high-rank boss monsters, even though it was the rookie hunter who gave him the confidence and ability to stand in front of C-rank monsters. Even though it was no doubt a challenging task, Sang-soo believed that Lee Jun-kyung was capable of handling. As soon as the duel started, Lee Jun-kyung wasted no time and launched an attack using his trusted spear. The spear penetrated the orc's arm, but unfortunately the attack had no effect and the orc cornered Lee Jun-kyung back. Sang-soo was ready to intervene, but to everyone's surprise, Lee Jun-kyung executed a swift and agile maneuver that allowed him to easily topple the orc. The power of his spear weapon shattered and was unable to withstand the might of his strength. That afternoon, Hyung and Kim visited Lee Jun-kyung. Interestingly, it was revealed that Kim was a woman, not a man. The association appointed Kim as Lee Jun-kyung's assistant. Yo Seong-gu Hyung also felt comfortable when Sung-gu made an offer for Lee Jun-kyung to join the League Guild. Lee Jun-kyung politely declined. Kim knows that his decision was not driven by arrogance, but by his commitment to the plan, which required him to keep a safe distance from Sung-gu Hyung and his friends. Despite Sung-gu Hyung's insistence, Lee Jun-kyung remained steadfast in his belief, determined to protect his future endeavors from the potential complications that might arise from such a union. He feared that any attempt to join them would complicate his future plans. Lee Jun-kyung's generous offer to help, despite Hyung's invitation, was turned down, a testament to his selflessness and dedication to his own plans. Of his willingness to help, Hyung talked a lot about his character and loyalty to the people he respects. Hyung, touched by Lee Jun-kyung's sincerity, expressed his gratitude and admiration, promised to remember it if the need for help arises in the future. The exchange serves as a reminder that even in a competitive and cutthroat environment, kindness and cooperation can go a long way in forging strong relationships and achieving success. Lee Jun-kyung and Hyung engage in conversation, with Lee Jun-kyung returning the favor while offering his help to Lee Jun-kyung. He expressed his willingness to help by saying, "If you need help, I will be happy to help you." Even though he had just met Hyung, he already felt familiar with Lee Jun-kyung, likened it to the bond between brothers. The next day, Lee arrived at the tutorial pass exam that was taking place inside the gate. Even though he was a newbie, he and the other hunters had no reason to worry, as he and his fellow rookies couldn't afford to be experienced and strong rank B hunters. They entered the gate without any delay and integrated with the unexpected humidity that was different from what they were used to. The reason for this change in atmosphere is the many miracles present at the gate, which Sang-soo and his friends are about to discover. Under the guidance of their leader, they forge a path ahead, with passion to face whatever challenges lie ahead. An experienced hunter group leader with years of expertise takes on the role of guide and mentor for the novice group. She guided him down the path confidently, sharing her knowledge of the terrain and the monsters that awaited them. When they encountered the first monster, a goblin lurking in the shadows, the leader instructed the rookies to be careful and not underestimate their opponents. As the group prepares to engage in battle, it is Lee Jun-kyung's turn to receive attack instructions, With a swift dash, he charged forward. His spear held tightly in his hand, he moved swiftly, and his movement precision was fluid. And in one swift motion, he thrust his spear deep into the horde of goblins, cutting each in two with ease. The other rookies were impressed by Lee Jun-kyung's display of skill and dexterity. His speed and sharpness left a lasting impression on them, and they looked up to him with newfound respect. The leader in particular was impressed with Lee Jun-kyung's strength, noting that he was close to a B rank. After the trial, he decided to recruit Lee Jun-kyung, recognizing his potential as someone of great worth. After a while, they reached the boss dungeon area, where the chief instructed all the rookies to prepare their potions and equipment for the upcoming fight. The chief emphasized that rookies needed to use their full strength if they intended to beat the boss dungeon. Lee Jun-kyung, on the other hand, couldn't shake the thought of the Demon King having the same abilities as a player, but being defeated by the 12 heroes before he could reach his full potential. He realized that the key to avoiding such a tragedy was to grow stronger and become a skilled player. Fueled by this determination, Lee Jun-kyung promised to utilize all his knowledge and skills to become a strong player and change the outcome of similar incidents in the future. The moment they stepped into the boss dungeon area, rising foreboding offensive crept over everyone as they were shocked by the significant increase in the gate level. They couldn't help but wonder what kind of formidable boss was waiting for them. Sensing their agitation, the chief spoke to the group, instructing the newbies to prepare themselves to escape from the gate. Suddenly, from in front, a huge fireball appeared, hurtling towards them at a frightening speed. Sang-soo knows he must act fast, take action by utilizing his formidable Viper's Fang skill to fend off the fiery attacks. But despite his valiant efforts, the impact of the incantation reverberated throughout the area, leaving everyone shaken and alert to that which is yet to come. As Sang-soo gamely blocks the fiery attacks, his armor sticks with every impact, and his face is set with fierce determination. Despite the effort, some of the flames manage to get past its defenses, causing concern among novice hunters. Yet in moments of true courage, Lee Jun-kyung takes steps from behind. With swift and surefire moves, he expertly wishes the remaining embers to vanish, calming the rookies and adding a new layer of respect to his already impressive reputation. Just as the group was catching their breath, a notification appeared on Lee Jun-kyung's device. It was a message from a supporter called the Fall of Heaven, requesting that he defeat the final dungeon boss of the fearsome Great Sorcerer Goblin. It is with a mixture of joy and trepidation that Lee Jun-kyung accepts the challenge, knowing that this battle will be the ultimate test of his skills. But he is determined to emerge victorious and add another impressive achievement to his growing list of accomplishments. Archmage Goblin's long-range fire magic sets him apart from other bosses, making him a formidable opponent to any hunter who recognizes him. The severity of the situation, only the chief has the skills to deal with this fiery foe. But Lee Jun-kyung, who was encouraged by the challenge from supporters, stepped onto the battlefield to show an unshakable determination to prove himself regardless of the risks of the mission. Although hesitant at first, the chairman eventually succumbs to the help of Lee Jun-kyung, who leaves the responsibility for the murders on the young hunter. Lee Jun-kyung faces his greatest challenge to defeat the Great Wizard Goblin and emerge victorious when Lee Jun-kyung stands bravely against the Fire Goblin's magic attacks. He quickly assesses the situation and prepares to defend himself. Without warning, 3 powerful blasts of advanced fire magic were thrown at him, but Lee Jun-kyung did not flinch. Instead, he raised his shield with a steady hand and prepared for impact. In a wondrous turn of events, the fire seemed to be absorbed by his body, leaving Lee Jun-kyung unscathed. With renewed confidence, Lee Jun-kyung charges forward, determined to take on the Goblin Archmage, but his progress is suddenly blocked by a roadblock that threatens to derail his plans. Despite these setbacks, Lee Jun-kyung remains resolute, as he has the game-changing skills to overcome fiery foes. Lee Jun-kyung's spear was shining and the light was flickering. As he confidently screamed his way through the fiery aura enveloping his weapon, shattered the boss's barricade in an instant, shocking his comrades with his relentless power through the Goblin Archmage until he lay dead at his feet. In doing so, the Supporter the Fall of Heaven mission was successfully completed, which completely impressed the system with its prowess, presenting Lee Jun-kyung with the rare opportunity to summon monsters for himself. When the exam ended, the chief rushed to report to the association president, regaled him with tales of Lee Jun-kyung's extraordinary talent and potential. and urged the chairman to seize the opportunity to make the most of his abilities. The chairman of the association immediately asked for recruits when he found out about Lee Jun-kyung. After leaving the building, Kim and Hyung met Lee Jun-kyung. Hyung asked if any guild had recruited him, to which Lee Jun-kyung replied that he was recruited by the chief of examination the day before, but turned it down. Lee Jun-kyung didn't want to join any guild because he wanted to avoid someone in the association. If he joins a guild, his identity can be exposed. Hyung then asked Lee Jun-kyung out for dinner to celebrate his success without thinking about identity issues. After returning from the party, Lee Jun-kyung opened the start menu to analyze his strength. He was surprised to see that he had reached level 11 and was given the opportunity to summon the avatar. Summoning avatars was not a common thing among normal hunters, and only a few of the 12 heroes could do it. Lee Jun-kyung was curious and tried to summon his avatar, but we don't know what it looks like yet. In addition, Kim surprised Lee Jun-kyung by reporting that he had made headlines, but his identity was not revealed. But as usual, Lee Jun-kyung quickly made Kim Chung's request, asking him to prepare dungeon raids for him to conquer. The next day, Lee Jun-kyung quickly cleared the dungeon Kim had prepared for him. Despite single-handedly defeating monsters like goblins, even he was able to complete 4 dungeons in just a few days, which is quite surprising. Fall of the Heaven is pleased with your performance, as you worked hard, and managed to level up today. It was then that we found the avatar previously called Lee Jun-kyung, which was a skull bracelet. Lee Jun-kyung originally thought that this avatar would have the ability to devour monster souls after defeating them in the dungeon, but it didn't have such an effect. Lee Jun-kyung also asked about the next upcoming dungeon. Kim explained that all the dungeons had been rented out by a new popular guild called the Northern Army. It was said that the Northern Guild had rented as many as 20 low-level dungeons for their training purposes. After noticing this, Lee Jun-kyung asked if the guildmaster of the Northern Guild was Choi Yong-seong. Kim confirmed, yes it is. Lee Jun-kyung was shocked because before he came to this place, Choi was just a super rookie, but now he had formed a relatively strong guild. This surprised Lee Jun-kyung even more because he knew that Choi would become famous in the future as one of the 12 heroes and would be nicknamed the King of War. Gunther is an evil individual who is willing to kill many people to serve his own goals. The next day, while traveling on the road, Lee Jun-kyung ran into 2 oppressive hunters. He quickly intervened and put an end to their stupid behavior, blaming everything on them. The Hunter Legion countered by launching their first attack, but Lee Jun-kyung was able to counter it by throwing them backwards. As Lee Jun-kyung stood over the unconscious individual, he couldn't help but feel a wave of frustration wash over him. He had always prided himself on following the rules laid down by the association, but here he was forced to resort to violence against opponents who had broken one of the most basic rules. As he looked around at the shocked onlookers, he knew that this incident would not go unnoticed. After quickly regaining his composure, Lee Jun-kyung turned to his trusted Kim and requested that they bring the 2 men to the association. But Kim's next words caught him off guard. "The Northern Army Guild," he whispered. Lee Jun-kyung was deep in thought. He knew very well the guild's notorious reputation, and the thought of creating Retalia made his blood run cold. Despite his fears, Lee Jun-kyung knows that he has no choice but to face the consequences of his actions. He knew very well the guild's notorious reputation, and the thought of creating Retalia made his blood run cold. Despite his fears, Lee Jun-kyung knows that he has no choice but to face the consequences of his actions. He knew very well the guild's notorious reputation, and the thought of creating Retalia made his blood run cold. Despite his fears, Lee Jun-kyung knows that he has no choice but to face the consequences of his actions. When Lee Jun-kyung heard the accusations leveled against him, his heart sank. Did he really report the incident directly to the association, without even trying to work things out with Lee Jun-kyung first? Despite his confusion, Lee Jun-kyung knew he had to stay calm. He knew the danger of being mistaken for the culprit, especially in a serious situation like this. As he defends himself against accusations, he presents his case in a clear and logical manner, refusing to let his emotions get the better of him. Even as the debate drags on for what feels like an eternity, it finally seems like all hope is lost. Lee Jun-kyung remembers something he learned from past experiences. He has facts against him, and learns the importance of having hard evidence to support his claims. Without hesitation, he reached into his pocket and took out an old recorder. As Lee Jun-kyung walked out of the association building, he saw Kim and hung up waiting for him. He was relieved to see trusted allies know he could count on them to back him up. The middle-aged man approached Lee Jun-kyung with an apologetic look on his face. Lee Jun-kyung felt a mix of emotions including confusion, anger, and a hint of sympathy. He couldn't understand why the man had lied and accused him of assaulting a merchant, but he sensed there was more to the story than what was revealed in the association's trial. The man explains that he was forced to make false accusations by the Northern Army to ensure his son's safety. Lee Jun-kyung feels sympathy for the man who knows the link some guilds will use to wield their influence. Before Lee Jun-kyung could respond, Hyung stepped forward to take over as guildmaster. He had a reputation for being tough but fair, and Lee Jun-kyung knew it. He could always count on him to handle situations like this with grace and authority. But things took a turn for the worse when Choi, a member of the Northern Army, stepped forward and shook Hyung's hand. The strength of his grip was so strong that Hyung's hand broke, and Lee Jun-kyung could feel the tension in the air rising. Hyung doesn't flinch even though he meets Choi's gaze, determinedly warning him that if he ever bothers Lee Jun-kyung again, he'll be ready to deal with it. Kim informs Lee Jun-kyung the next day that the previous day, the matter was resolved with the Northern Army paying the fine, but Lee Jun-kyung was not surprised as he knew that Choi would become corrupt in the future. However, Lee Jun-kyung found it strange that the Northern Army did not move any further. For being a ruthless killer who never backs down from a challenge, this realization made Lee Jun-kyung suspicious, and he asked Kim to closely monitor the activities of the Northern Army, and to keep him informed of new developments which he wanted to update as soon as possible. Lee Jun-kyung enlists the help of Sung Gu-hyung to make the raid stronger. Lee Jun-kyung seeks Hyung's help as they plan to venture into a high-class dungeon with Lee Jun-kyung. Meanwhile, Choi Yong-soo, Jong In-chang, and the founder of the Northern Army had a quarrel at their residence. Yong-soo is enraged that Choi is not taking any action, while Jong In-chang urges everyone to calm down and focus on solving their internal problems. Yong-soo and In-chang have different opinions and are on the verge of fighting, but luckily Choi intervenes and urges Chang to side with Yong-soo. Choi emphasizes that not answering Lee Jun-kyung's challenge will result in the loss of the Northern Army Guild's pride. Lee Jun-kyung admired Hyung's leadership and combat skills, and watched him in action during the raid, only increasing his respect for the guild. Master Hyung is a force to be reckoned with, moving together smoothly as they defeated each monster with precision and ease. But Hyung himself stood out the most with his great sword glistening in the sunlight and radiating an aura of power. And Lee Jun-kyung had never seen power like this before, and he couldn't help but feel awe as he watched Hyung take down 5 monsters with a single sweep of his blade. As the attacks continued, Hyung encouraged Lee Jun-kyung to display his own strength and skills. At first, Lee Jun-kyung was hesitant as he was always more of a strategist than a fighter, preferring to stay in the background and support his guildmates from afar. In place of newfound confidence, Lee Jun-kyung let out a fierce roar and launched his spear at the goblins that surrounded him, killing them all in one hit. This astonishing feat left all the other hunters in awe and wondering how he managed to do it without using any spells, which the Hyung explained to them that it was not a skill, but authority. After they finished clearing the dungeon, Hyung expanded another one, offering Lee Jun-kyung to join his guild as vice-guild leader. Although his usual refusal, Lee Jun-kyung did not reveal the reason for the refusal. As soon as Lee Jun-kyung received a notification on his phone stating that the Hunter Association needed 100 hunters to clear the gates, a message came from the Northern Army, and both Lee Jun-kyung and Hyung realized it could be a trap. Despite the potential danger, Lee Jun-kyung became more interested in the mission and expressed interest in participating. Elsewhere, In-chang is extremely frustrated with the mission as he was not informed by the guildmaster about it. He did not anticipate the change in attitude of his childhood friends Choi and Yong-soo, who are now seeking high positions for their personal gain. Despite his attempts to reason with them, he believes they cannot be saved from their mindset. Right now, In-chang can't bear the thought of leaving things unresolved, and his worries only grow when he receives a call from Lee Jun-kyung, and he agrees to meet with him. At a certain location, after arriving at the agreed location, In-chang wastes no time warning Lee Jun-kyung about the mission, stating that it could be a trap set up by Choi. However, Li Junqiang's curiosity drives him to gather more information, even if it means falling behind Chang as far as insulting the Northern Army Guild, by calling them a chaos guild backed by evil forces. Chang flew into a rage and emitted a strong killing intent, but his anger subsided when Li Junqiang mentioned possible corruption in the Northern Army Guild negotiations, but the outcome remained unclear. Upon his return to the guild, Chang seeks to uncover Li Junqiang's true identity. While admiring Chang's strength and reputation as a skilled hunter who has defeated the Demon Lord Avatar and other monsters, he also observes that Chang has determination as evidenced by his defeat by Choi. Li Junqiang saw the potential in getting Chang to join his side, and believed that he could help balance the Northern Army Guild, which depended heavily on Chang's power for survival at this time. Li Junqiang recently realized that Chang's physical strength alone is not enough to defeat strong opponents during his battles. What Li Junqiang needs from Chang is his morals. Meanwhile, returned a few days ago as a result, he has continued his training to improve his physique and strength. While he was clearing dungeons and killing monsters, his spear suddenly broke. For repair, he seeks the services of the most famous blacksmith in the future. Upon arriving at the blacksmith, a red-haired man named Park Jae-hyun, Li Junqiang finds that he is currently only running a small business. But according to the history of the Demon King, it will surely change if Park helps the Demon King to the end. Which Park found at first, Li Junqiang's arrival was strange. But after Li Junqiang explained that he was sponsored to come here, Park no longer doubted it. The problem at hand was that Park was dissatisfied with the fire in his workshop that prevented him from making tools. However, Li Junqiang offers to help her with her magic problems. Park amazed by Li Junqiang's advanced fire magic. After a week, Park managed to create a powerful spear which can be enhanced with fire magic. The more fire it absorbed, the stronger it got in the meantime. Li Junqiang explores the dungeon and contemplates how to unleash the power of his skull bracelet, but he has yet to find any clues about his true abilities. Li Junqiang has always been a hard worker, and he is determined to improve his skills before his next gate deployment. He spent hours practicing with his new spear, perfecting his technique and honing his reflexes until he was able to move with lightning speed and killer accuracy. But all this training comes at a cost. Li Junqiang has hardly slept in the last 2 weeks, pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion. In his quest for repairs the next day, Choi instructs all the guild members to prepare themselves for the upcoming mission. He believed that once they succeeded, the Northern Army would become the strongest guild in the world. Chang is surprised by the current aura. Choi wonders how he hasn't reached rank 1 yet, while Yang Su states that everything is going according to the mysterious person's plan, motivating all the members to clear the gate in excitement. Meanwhile, on their way to the gate, Kim slightly warned Li Junqiang about the Northern Army Guild continuing the mission, meaning there was a high possibility of death, and Li Junqiang was aware of this fact. However, he couldn't allow the Northern Guild to wreak havoc again. In this situation, Li Junqiang will teach a person's value lesson. As he approaches the gate, he is surprised to find Hyung there, even though guilds are not allowed in the area. Hyung warned Li Junqiang to be careful because Choi is stronger than he thought. It is revealed that Choi has reached rank A. Hyung is waiting for Li Junqiang to drop out, and if he doesn't, he will destroy their guild. Li Junqiang was impressed by Hyung's determination. With the resounding sound of a brook, the heavy door slowly opened, revealing a dark foreboding of death. Level changing and special traits activated, the hunters exchanged worried looks as they tried to make sense of what was going on. For Choi and his 2 subordinates, they kept their cool and in charge of the dungeons. Choi raised his voice, calling everyone to stay calm and not give up hope. With teamwork, he convinced them that they could overcome any obstacle. It was then that a notification popped up on their screens. The Lord of Riverside was trying to take control of the area. It was time for Choi to wait for his chance to showcase his skills in controlling the next boss monster. Li Junqiang is left in a state of shock and can do nothing but go with the flow. Choi instructs Yang Su to conserve their strength a bit longer, as they are warned about the upcoming wave in the next few hours. To avoid draining their stamina, Choi decides to use the hunters as shields. In addition, Choi orders Chang with the task of killing Li Junqiang, no matter what it takes. When the first wave hit, it was the sea monster lizard horde that attacked the hunters. Despite knowing the monster's high level, the hunters rush into battle only to suffer casualties due to the monster's mysterious water spray, while Lee Jun-kyung wants to help them. But he realizes that he needs to save his stamina for later. In the sudden event, the Northern Army members launched a surprise attack on the sea monster lizards from behind, hoping to rally the other hunters and boost their morale with their swords drawn. They charge fearlessly at fearsome creatures ready to do whatever it takes to protect their comrades. Inspired by their courage that Lee Jun-kyung felt, adrenaline was coursing through his veins. He knew that he had to do his part in this battle, so he wielded his flaming spear with sheer determination and charged at the monsters in a display of strength and astonishing skill. He managed to take down multiple lizards at once, leaving the other hunters in awe of his abilities. As they watched in amazement, he couldn't help but feel a newfound respect for the young man. The hero among them, even In Chang, who previously doubted Lee Jun-kyung's abilities, became astonished at his unexpected development. Lee Jun-kyung's immense strength proved invaluable in the first wave, a battle that fortunately ended without causing significant casualties. Even though Lee Jun-kyung used up most of his stamina during the fight, his level increased, and with that his strength grew more and more impressive. Lee Jun-kyung delights for succeeding in attracting the attention of potential supporters who were impressed by his heroic actions. He believed that with their support he could become stronger and better able to protect those in need. However, Lee Jun-kyung's hopes were dashed when the fall of heaven turned dark, causing all supporters to withdraw themselves offering support. It became clear that strength does not look kind to his ambition, making Lee Jun-kyung wonder if he will ever be able to achieve his goal of becoming a true hero. Sometime later, many hunters begin to approach Lee Jun-kyung and offer their help. Choi is disgusted by the sympathy Lee Jun-kyung is receiving as it interferes with his plans. However, he gathers his strength and tries to motivate the hunters to once again survive the fifth wave, despite 4 hunters losing their lives. Regardless of the fifth wave ending, the boss dungeon finally appeared in the form of a water golem. His strength increased and became invincible when in contact with water, making the situation even more dire. The hunters were left wondering how they managed to beat him. With one lethal burst of water from the golem, can easily destroy the ground, so they have no other choice but to attack. Attackers and ranged hunters launched their attacks at the monster, but they didn't seem to have any effect. Only Lee Jun-kyung's spear managed to land in front of the golem, explaining that in order to injure this monster, hunters must coat their weapons with magic. After receiving the order, all the hunters tried and were surprised to find that they could use ranked skills. Lee Jun-kyung's suggestion to coat their weapons with magic proved to be effective in injuring the water golems, but the challenge was that these monsters had a fast regeneration rate. At this point, Lee Jun-kyung realized that the water golem's vulnerability was in its core. He patiently waited for the right moment for its core to open and threw his spear with all his might. His mighty Lee Jun-kyung threw his spear with all his might finally found his mark. When it penetrated the core of the water golem managed to defeat the middle boss dungeon. As a reward, he received valuable water gems and a significant level up. His feat caught the attention of some supporters who couldn't help but be impressed by the young man's outstanding performance. The other hunters began to realize that Lee Jun-kyung was no ordinary hunter, but an S-rank hunter, just 2 months ago making him a super rookie. Approaching Choi from behind, In Chang asks him to promise to surrender. Even though many hunters had lost their lives, Choi remained motionless but inched around to be met with insults from his fellow guild members, which angered Choi. In response, Choi stated that they would work harder and become heroes. When he turns around, In Chang has already disappeared, but Choi is unfazed by the departure. So the Guild North Army members engage in battle with the monsters only to realize that their levels are far lower than Lee Jun-kyung. In a display of relentless strength, Lee Jun-kyung goes on a killing spree, taking down hundreds of monsters. Despite using up his considerable stamina, he is determined to level up and become stronger. But suddenly he is startled by the appearance of a woman who comes to his aid. To his astonishment, he puts on Chang's clothes, revealing that the person behind BC Mask is actually a woman and not a man. The guild change resulted in the loss of several hunters, and a somber mood fell over the group. As the hunters mourn their loss, there are some members of the Northern Army who belittle Chang, calling him a traitor. Despite this painful treatment, In Chang remained firm in his decision, knowing that he had followed his heart to join Lee Jun-kyung and was inspired by Lee Jun-kyung's unbreakable determination. After a short pause, The dungeon boss finally appeared. The hunters prepare to face the final boss of the dungeon only to be shocked by the colossal appearance of the snake towering above them. With his threatening presence, Chang shares with Li Junqiang that Choi has devised a plan to defeat the monsters, which instills a newfound sense of determination in the young hunters. While the other party issues unconventional orders revealing their intention to manipulate the dungeon boss to their advantage. Choi summons his skill conjuring rain to support the already formidable dragon boss. Furthermore, the hunters prepare themselves for what will surely be a difficult and challenging battle. There is a heavy rainstorm, but the water-based powers are a given and effective against the barrier monsters. Li Junqiang, frustrated and angry. Li Junqiang lunges at Choi, determined to take down the one responsible for their predicament in the next fight. The dungeon boss makes it nearly impossible to take down his target, determined not to be defeated. Li Junqiang uses desperate action, unleashing reckless and unconventional strategies in his attempt to overcome the defenses. Li Junqiang's choice devises a daring plan to defeat Choi, which involves luring him into a monster's stomach to maximize his fire release power. Meanwhile, Chang set his sights on Yongsu, who engaged in a fierce and enthralling battle. Each soldier proves to be a worthy opponent by tarnishing each other's powerful attacks. In the belly of the monster, Li Junqiang takes advantage of igniting the dry interior with his fire ability. Choi's power is weakened by the intense heat, which struggles to keep up with the intensity of the fire. The scene is full of tension as Li Junqiang fights to overcome the monster and eliminate Choi once and for all. Meanwhile, Li Junqiang's strength grows tremendously as he fights Choi in a fierce battle. In a moment of desperation, Choi launched a reckless attack, but Li Junqiang quickly countered with a powerful punch from his spear through Choi's stomach. The skeleton bracelet worn by Li Junqiang then started reacting to absorb Choi's soul, confirming the rumor that the bracelet could only absorb the soul of a hero. When Li Junqiang accepts an unreal turn of events, both of them die, leaving Li Junqiang to contemplate the consequences of their actions. The Demon King's book fails to mention that supporters never die, which surprises Li Junqiang because supporters die along with their heroes. Suddenly a crow emerges from Choi's soul and reveals its goal. Li Junqiang declares his ambition to become the strongest hunter beyond the Demon King, prompting the bird to disappear. In a sudden movement Li Junqiang swiftly slashed at Yongsu from above, ending his evil intentions towards Li Junqiang. Regardless of the consequences of his actions, Li Junqiang has no regrets because he believes that it was a legal punishment for Yongsu. The skull bracelet reacted according to devouring Yongsu's soul, finally solving this problem, feeling that he had nothing more to offer. Chang expressed his intention to retire from hunting, but Li Junqiang saw potential in him and wanted to keep him from leaving, knowing that he could become a great hunter in the future before he had to help him cool off from a fierce battle. As they emerged from the basement, a group of reporters crowded around them, eager to interview the new superstar hunter. Reporters inquired about Choi's whereabouts and questioned why he had not returned. To his attention, Hyung quickly took the opportunity and raised Li Junqiang as the hero of the dungeon. This sudden turn of events shocked the reporters, who didn't realize that Li Junqiang was already a famous super rookie. But Li Junqiang couldn't help but feel irritated to learn that out of the 110 hunters who had initially entered the dungeon, only 39 had managed to survive till the end. At another location, crows that appeared during the battle reported the incident to the association chairman. The chairman happily praised Li Junqiang as some kind of god. In another location, Chang appears restless and visibly weak. Despite being betrayed, he still misses his guild. Suddenly, a former member of the Northern Army approaches him from behind and encourages him to keep his hopes up, assuring him that he is innocent and that the guild leader is the one in the wrong. They urged him not to lose hope. Meanwhile, Li Junqiang and Hyung discussed the current news, and it was revealed that Li Junqiang had earned the nickname of the underdog. Hyung passionately argues that the underdog nickname doesn't suit Li Junqiang, but Li Junqiang seems lost in thought. With little attention to it, suddenly, Li Junqiang dropped a bombshell expressing his desire to use the foreign phrase, hero-making. Hyung looked surprised and scared. His face twisted in horror, the room fell silent, and the only sound was Li Junqiang's heavy breathing. His aura expands to give the impression that he is ready to release his anger on someone he is aiming for. Li Junqiang coldly asks if you are a member of Asgard. His eyes were on Hyung, trying to read his reaction. Hyung looks like a deer caught in headlights. As his mind raced to comprehend what he had just heard, it was clear that this information was not widely known, and Hyung's reaction was a clear indication of this. It was later revealed that Lee Jun-kyung met Heimdall, the leader of Asgard. When he was already a member of the organization, he expressed his desire to join Asgard, a group consisting of the most skilled hunters. At first, In Chang is reluctant, as he is hesitant to trust any organization because of his past experiences with corrupt guilds. Despite having doubts about Lee Jun-kyung's ability to handle a significant objective, In Chang appears uneasy and unsure of what to do. Lee Jun-kyung stated something unexpected. Claiming to be from the future and a warning of an upcoming war, he urged them to work together to overcome this challenge. Although it is not clear what happened during the rest of the conversation, even though the outcome of their discussion is uncertain, Lee Jun-kyung wasted no time and immediately went home, trying to summon his avatar when Lee Jun-kyung activated the avatar. His anticipation increased as he expected the bone dragon to appear, but to his surprise only a skull head appeared. Even so, he was determined to rule the energy monastery, which required precision and control. Unfortunately, the instructions in the book lacked detail, leaving him frustrated and not sure how to proceed. Just as he was feeling defeated, a message from Kim came in offering to take him to the association. Lee Jun-kyung's heart jumped at the prospect of meeting association chairman Jang Hyo-jin. He had heard of the legendary hunter's prowess and wisdom, and he knew that this was a rare opportunity to learn from the best. The narrative progresses with Lee Jun-kyung's arrival at the association, where he is accepted by Chairman Jang. The books he has studied extensively speak of Jang's extraordinary abilities, even claiming that he is on par with the Demon King himself. The moment he entered the room to meet Jang, Lee Jun-kyung felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The meeting started off friendly enough, with Jang greeting Lee Jun-kyung with a smile and a handshake. However, the mood suddenly changed as Jang's expression turned gloomy and a black aura surrounded him. Threateningly, Jang demanded who you are. Jang was an extraordinary person, asserting that he already knew everything about Lee Jun-kyung. He acknowledged Jang's extraordinary development after the awakening, which impressed him greatly. However, the line of interrogation changed when he asked Lee Jun-kyung about the circumstances surrounding Choi's death. He truly believed he was innocent of any wrongdoing. After all, it wasn't against the rules. Jang, who heard these words, was angry because Yong-sun was his free slave. Even though Jang was angry, Lee Jun-kyung immediately cut his words and said that he wanted to join Asgard. Here, all this time, Jang was not angry and had to join, but before that, Jang asked why Lee Jun-kyung wanted to join Asgard. Jang replied that Asgard's vision and mission to save humanity appealed to him. Lee Jun-kyung here is also a little fishing by saying that he is Odin, the king of Asgard. Hearing this, Jang became more interested in Lee Jun-kyung, who knew everything about him, and his goal was not to make Jang angry because his curiosity about Lee Jun-kyung made him obsessed with him. And Jang asked if you know about my eyes. Of course, Lee Jun-kyung replied that he knew that his eyes were the eyes of truth. Knowing this, Jang became even more obsessed with Lee Jun-kyung and allowed him to join Asgard. But Jang didn't let Lee Jun-kyung enter for free, and instead gave him some entrance exams to test if he fit into the Asgard group. This test will be faced by Lee Jun-kyung during the raid gate in London, where this activity will be carried out soon. So Jang here asked Lee Jun-kyung to get ready for the raid. Before leaving, Jang used his middle restriction ability, which silenced Lee Jun-kyung so he would not divulge Jang's secret to others. But it seems that the disability doesn't affect Lee Jun-kyung. This is because from the start, he already knew that Jang would use that ability to silence his mouth. Not long after that, at the cafe, In Chang finally came after a few days and agreed to meet here to discuss something. At this meeting, Lee Jun-kyung told the reason why Jang didn't kill him, even though he knew his identity, because Jang didn't think that he was a threat seeker. This In Chang was very sad because it turned out that he was nobody. And the second reason Lee Jun-kyung asked, and In Chang was there to join him, and Lee Jun-kyung also revealed his goal to form a peaceful world without discrimination. Feel that no one here believes In Chang, so inevitably here trust Lee Jun-kyung. After In Chang agreed to follow him, In Chang asked him what he would do to create a peaceful world. Before saying this, Lee Jun-kyung asked what items Chang got from the supporters at the Lin River Gate. Here, because In Chang trusted Lee Jun-kyung, He told him that he got a dragon bloodstone from his supporter named Prince Charming. After hearing this, Li Junqiang was very happy because his suspicions were correct that In Chang had obtained the bloodstone from the start. Li Junqiang targeted this side item to strengthen the immortal secret to perfection, and coincidentally In Chang gave the item for free to him, although if he used the item it could make him stronger. But here In Chang refused, and said that Li Junqiang knew more about the item so he better play with it and be able to use the item to its fullest. After getting the bloodstone, Li Junqiang immediately went to the blacksmith and asked the blacksmith to combine his weapon and In Chang's weapon to install the bloodstone. The blacksmith who saw this item was very surprised and asked why Li Junqiang could get this very rare item. Of course, because there is only one bloodstone. Here Li Junqiang will break the bloodstone into 2 parts so that it can be attached to the sword for In Chang. Knowing this, the blacksmith was very surprised because he did not expect this rare stone to be separated and attached to the weapon. And because of this knowledge, the blacksmith would not charge Li Junqiang any money. One day later, it is shown that Li Junqiang and In Chang are on a raid to try out their new swords and practice for the upcoming test. With the bloodstone effect, they can absorb blood from enemies and strengthen their weapons. The stronger the sword will increase over time fighting. Upon hearing this, In Chang could not believe that his decision to give the item to Li Junqiang was the right one. Not far from here, the boss gate of the ogre warrior appeared. It can be seen that the monster's strength is very terrible and has a very strong attack. But on Li Junqiang's side, he didn't expect that the attack from the ogre was so strong, and he could block the attack with his sword and then slash the monster to death. Seeing this, Li Junqiang could not believe that the decision made by In Chang as a subordinate was the right decision. One day later, before the exam started, Hyung met Li Junqiang. Hyung's arrival here was to give him advice not to take the exam because he had a hunch that Li Junqiang would die taking the exam. Even though Hyung suggested that he should stay out, Li Junqiang would still go because some business made him unable to refuse to take the exam. In the morning, Li Junqiang and In Chang will be escorted by Kim, where Kim directs them both to a portal to London. Shortly after the portal opened, Li Junqiang and In Chang entered there, while their legion was greeted by 2 hunter associations from London, who would direct them both to the venue. In the evening, they both attended a party to get to know hunters from other countries, and out of the many hunters, there was one person who stood out at the event. The man was big and looked very strong. It seemed the man was expressing his disappointment towards the Korean Association, sending a weak hunter for this event. While Li Junqiang saw that he finally realized that the man was a member of the Olympic group. This unexpected thing made Li Junqiang a little worried, because this man's arrival could disrupt all his plans. Soon a man came to stop the big man, and realized that the man's name was George and his title was Odysseus. Knowing this makes Li Junqiang even more worried because in the Demon King's notebook, it is said that Odysseus will be killed by his partner named Hercules. What surprised Li Junqiang was that the man's name was Demetrius, and he carried the title of Hercules. Of course, with the name of his title alone, you can guess how strong this man is, some of which are unexpected things that hinder Li Junqiang's plan a little. But even so, there is still a way to win in this event, a possible way to beat them, but a cunning way that makes Li Junqiang win without having to fight Hercules. While Demetrius knew that Li Junqiang was the underdog from Korea, and tended to shake his hand to check whether the rumors circulating were true that the underdog from Korea was very strong. But before shaking hands with Li Jun, Kyung and Chang stopped him with his hand. What he was doing was reckless, because the physical strength between the two was far in comparison. And as a result, In Chang broke his bones because he was unable to withstand Demetrius' counterattack. The next day, because there is no event, Li Junqiang and In Chang will do a raid to increase their strength. But the main purpose of the raid this time was Li Junqiang asked In Chang to get the title of Ogre Killer. The purpose of this exercise was to keep the anticipatory text from Demetrius, while Li Junqiang's goal was different, where he would go inside and look for items that would lead him to victory. After explaining that, Li Junqiang and Chang were asked to attend immediately. Li Junqiang returns and brings a large group of ogres so that In Chang can kill them and earn the title of Ogre Slayer. In Chang was a bit hesitant at first, but this was an order from Li Junqiang, so he did. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Li Junqiang will send his call to help In Chang if something happens. Meanwhile, at In Chang's fight, Lee Jun-kyung will go deeper to find an item to kill Hercules, and as soon as he finds a monster that doesn't have the item, in addition to being able to get the item, Lee Jun-kyung has to face a dungeon boss named Red-Eyed Ogre. In Korea, there seems to be a commotion between Hyung and Jang. It seems Hyung said that he doesn't accept Jang's decision to send Lee Jun-kyung. Of course, the reason Hyung fought him was because in that battle Hercules would be present. With the presence of Hercules, it is certain that Lee Jun-kyung will not win and will not come back alive. Hearing that really shocked Jang because he didn't expect that the Olympics group had betrayed him, even though before the Olympics it had been agreed that the Asgard team would win the event. This unexpected incident made Jang angry, and he would send people to help Lee Jun-kyung with the reason that if Lee Jun-kyung died, then he would die of curiosity, because here Jang was still curious about why Lee Jun-kyung knew about secrets from him in Asgard. On the other hand, Lee Jun-kyung is still fighting over the boss about that. It can be seen that even though he has a very large body and very fast speed, and that makes it difficult for Lee Jun-kyung because in this attack he doesn't want to waste enough energy. However, due to this unforeseen situation, he inevitably had to use his full abilities to defeat the monster. Of course, with his great strength to subdue the monster and get the item he is looking for. In different places, we see the reason why Hercules could be here. It seems he has violated the Olympic rules and intends to win this match. George, who didn't want to get involved at first, couldn't help but get involved because since the first commotion made by Hercules, he was also the one to blame, and like it or not, after this match is over, the Olympic officials will severely punish them both for violating the agreement. Meanwhile, on Lee Jun-kyung's side, where on that day before the event started, he took the time to go to the alchemy shop where his goal was to smear the weapon with the red ore he obtained earlier, and coincidentally the place he was going to was one of the greatest blacksmiths in history, who had the nickname Hephaestus. Of course, at first Hephaestus was confused about where Lee Jun-kyung got the item. For sure those who could get the item were very strong. But here the question arises, what is the point of smearing his weapon with this item? Here Lee Jun-kyung did not explain anything other than saying that he knew Park, who was the brother of Hephaestus, and only asked him to do what he asked. After several days of waiting, the event finally started. Hunters from all over the world gathered to enter the gate. As expected before entering the event, Hercules came to Lee Jun-kyung and said that he would kill him. But here Lee Jun-kyung just answered with a smile. With that, the gate opened and all the hunters went inside. Before entering, Lee Jun-kyung tells In Chang to run immediately when he enters. He didn't know the reason, but In Chang did as he said, and it's true that when he entered the gate, many people died. Seeing this, In Chang was very shocked to see how many hunters could die even though the gate had been opened 5 minutes ago. Seeing that In Chang couldn't take it anymore and intended to save one hunter who was still standing, but unexpectedly he was attacked by Hercules. In Chang refused to fight and continued to defend and dodge, but luckily because Lee Jun-kyung came at the right time, he was saved and escaped to a safe place. Once in a safe place, In Chang asked what happened to Lee Jun-kyung. Lee Jun-kyung replied that the Death Hunters were not killed by Hercules, but it was an explosion prepared by someone to be able to kill Hercules. Seeing this, In Chang really can't believe this incident. Then Lee Jun-kyung will start a plan to kill Hercules, and to start the plan, Lee Jun-kyung asks for his summons to find the hunter who trapped Hercules, and soon after finding him, Lee Jun-kyung will remember them and make him bait for Hercules to follow him. On the other hand, the atmosphere gets tense when Hercules and George get caught in the trap of Legion, a notorious and ruthless foe, when they manage to eliminate the explosives makers. The situation quickly turns dangerous when the lifeless corpses suddenly come to life and launch a vicious attack on Hercules, despite the uselessness of their summoner abilities, the enemies of the undead. On the other hand, on the way Lee Jun-kyung was stopped by someone. It turned out that someone was a messenger from Jang named Inev. Here Jang has sent orders that will help, and the bosses have also confirmed that the competition will be won by Asgard. Who knew this? Lee Jun-kyung did not accept their help, but he refused, because he came here not to win in vain, but his purpose changed when Hercules came. Although this was deemed unlikely, Lee Jun-kyung would try to win this competition and become a member of Asgard. Inev, who heard these words, was very surprised and said that he could not help because it was not an order from Jang, But it was a decision from Lee Jun-kyung himself. Like that, and Inev could not force his will and would go home. But here Inev didn't go straight home, but kept an eye on them because he wanted to know how Lee Jun-kyung could beat the dungeon boss with Hercules simultaneously. Not long after searching long enough, Lee Jun-kyung finally arrived at the gate hideout of a boss named Kateran. It can be seen that the monster is very strong and very terrible. And here it was revealed that Lee Jun-kyung's main plan. That's why he brought Hercules here, as Hercules will defeat the new boss gate, and Lee Jun-kyung will attack him. And of course, to be able to defeat Hercules, Lee Jun-kyung has to make the monsters enter the strongest mode. As soon as Hercules set foot in the designated area, his keen senses warned him of looming danger without warning. The group started trembling under his feet, and before he could react, a ferocious monster emerged from the depths of the earth, eyes glistening with malice. Hercules reacted to the monster's first strike with a powerful punch that sent him flying backwards several feet, but he knew better not to let his guard down, and as he prepared for another strike, the monster's entire body convulsed, and a fiery aura engulfed it in an instant. It turned into a gigantic, terrifying beast, towering over Hercules with its massive muscles. Their excitement and fear knew that the monster was now at its strongest, and it was time for the next phase of their plan to begin. Without hesitation, they fled the scene, leaving Hercules to face the beast alone. But to their surprise, Hercules did not back down. Instead, he stood his ground, ready to face anything that came his way. Unfortunately, the monster's speed was very fast, and Hercules had to deal with it. The duel between Hercules and the monster was so fierce that the hunters who came could only be silent and trembled. Meanwhile, on Lee Jun-kyung's side, he started the ultimate plan. Lee Jun-kyung immediately greased his weapon with the items he had prepared beforehand. After seeing the gap, Lee Jun-kyung throws the spirit of Hercules, but unexpectedly, George pushes the spear aside. Seeing this move, In-chang stepped forward to fight George so that Lee Jun-kyung managed to attack with his spear. Then there was a quite fierce duel between In-chang and George in the back. After attacking, they were able to injure each other. But even though In-chang was very strong, his attacks were not able to scratch George. But things turned around when In-chang was assisted by a summons from Lee Jun-kyung. Seeing this, Lee Jun-kyung focused on finding a gap so that his second attack could stab Hercules. But before that, Lee Jun-kyung didn't believe in Hercules' strength. How could that happen, even though the monster entered its strongest mode? Plus, Hercules' demonic energy was still able to withstand the strongest attack from him. Instead, he turned it around. Meanwhile, on In-chang's side, they also wondered how they could kill someone as strong as Hercules. It turns out that Lee Jun-kyung still has a way and is waiting for Hercules to enter berserker mode. According to the book, the demon king Hercules would go out of control when he enjoyed fighting, and of course to make Hercules enter berserker mode, inevitably Lee Jun-kyung had to come down to fight him. Seeing Lee Jun-kyung come down to fight him made Hercules very happy, and he served him. It didn't take long for Hercules to use his strongest strength to kill Lee Jun-kyung. While on Inev's side they saw this, and felt that Lee Jun-kyung would be injured from attacking. Moreover, they saw Lee Jun-kyung gathering mana in defense. If Lee Jun-kyung did that, it would still be useless because the attack from Hercules was very strong. But it turns out that what Lee Jun-kyung did was not what they thought, because what he did before was just a distraction. Lee Jun-kyung went to attack with his spear, even though this was a powerful attack delivered by Lee Jun-kyung. In reality, the attack did not seriously injure Hercules, and instead reversed the attack to throw Lee Jun-kyung. But a small attack was enough for him because it wasn't an ordinary attack. But his weapon was coated with poison. Of course, Hercules, who was not aware of this, was shocked and felt the effects of the poison, which made him unable to move. Which, poison isn't poison in general because it's a strength-boosting serum. And why did Lee Jun-kyung do this with the added power that would make Hercules go into an uncontrollable berserker mode, even killing himself because he couldn't hold back the power in his body? While George, who saw this, immediately headed there to stop his rampage from Hercules. It was stopped by Lee Jun-kyung, and thanks to time it was too late, because berserker mode plus Hercules' demonic power could not be stopped. Even so, here George still insists on going there to stop him properly. Because Lee Jun-kyung doesn't want the same future as before where George died, here Lee Jun-kyung tells George that there is a way to stop the Hercules rampage. We have to wait 5 minutes because according to estimates after 5 minutes, Hercules will pass out because he can't hold back the strength. And from the beginning Lee Jun-kyung noticed this because with Hercules fainting he will definitely win. Even though this looks easy, it will be very difficult to hold Hercules. Seeing this, George, like it or not, they had to work together to buy up to 5 minutes of time. Hercules went crazy and attacked all the hunters who were there, while Chang was overwhelmed by Hercules' physique, which was getting stronger. Seeing the hunters have no intention of winning the competition this time and intend to return to the memories of seeing the terrible battle made them afraid to participate. While from Inev's side, he really didn't believe all of this. Moreover, something made him curious about the ogre that Lee Jun-kyung brought. Out of curiosity about this, Inev will come down to help them stop Hercules. But the help from Inev changes nothing, as Hercules' strength is ridiculous. Meanwhile, George also didn't give up, kept trying to stop him. Unfortunately, Hercules was unconscious and took out his mainstay power to attack George. Although George was able to avoid it, hearing the effects of the attack made a deep wound on him. Not far from there, saw Lee Jun-kyung just silent and not doing anything. It turns out that here Lee Jun-kyung is unconscious, because bloodstone has boiled and made Lee Jun-kyung bomb blood. And it turns out that the effect is the same as Hercules, where Lee Jun-kyung's body is entered with great force. Different from Hercules here, Lee Jun-kyung is still conscious, and gives off a stronger aura than Hercules. In this condition, Lee Jun-kyung will use it to fight Hercules in berserker mode. But before that here, Lee Jun-kyung will fight the boss gate first, because the monsters will interfere with the fight. And unexpectedly, with just a few attacks, Lee Jun-kyung manages to take down the monster without difficulty. But from here onwards, a huge problem occurred, where the outside was suddenly filled with a terrifying aura. This aura that came out of Lee Jun-kyung's body actually absorbed the magic that was around him, giving him extraordinary strength. And as a result of not being able to withstand this great power, Lee Jun-kyung lost control and became unconscious. And in this condition, Lee Jun-kyung immediately attacked Hercules. It was seen that the collision of their attacks was very powerful. But this powerful attack could not kill Hercules, and only destroyed one hand. But it didn't matter, because with his demonic power, Hercules' hands returned to normal. Meanwhile, Lee Jun-kyung looks seriously injured. But the difference is, Lee Jun-kyung's regeneration is quite fast. Seeing this, George could not believe why all this could happen, and what power Lee Jun-kyung had. Then the battle between Lee Jun-kyung and Hercules continued. Seeing this terrible battle, hunters could only stand still and watch, and it was soon seen that Hercules was defeated by Lee Jun-kyung, who managed to stab Hercules with his spear. But here, Lee Jun-kyung is not satisfied, and intends to kill Hercules, who is dying. George, who knew this, rushed to stop Lee Jun-kyung. But because Lee Jun-kyung was too fast, he just gave up. And at the same time, suddenly, Athena came and stopped the attack with her ability. With her strength, Athena managed to paralyze Lee Jun-kyung. Here, Athena felt that there was something dangerous about this man, because for the first time, she did not know that there was someone who could absorb natural mana in the entire dungeon. Feeling that this man was very dangerous, Athena decided to kill him, but was stopped by Sung-gu, who came and said if he attacked him, it would be a declaration of war on Asgard. Plus, Inev also asked Athena not to kill Lee Jun-kyung. With that, finally, Athena discouraged and left the dungeon, then moved to the palace. That's where Lee Jun-kyung finally woke up. Even though there, Lee Jun-kyung woke up feeling all his bones crushed because of the previous strength. A few days passed, and it was seen that there was a meeting at the round table where Sung-gu Hyung was still trying to defend Lee Jun-kyung from being executed. George was honored to have met Athena. Seeing the current state, Athena said that this was a mess. Because of them, Athena was in debt to Zeus. Athena then asked who the person in front of her was. George also replied that he was an underdog. Athena finally understood that all the changes that had occurred at the gate were because of Lee Jun-kyung. He couldn't stop thinking that Lee Jun-kyung could suppress his shield. Lee Jun-kyung even covered the entire Catharian mountain and absorbed the magic power of all living things with his blue flames. Athena thought that a new rookie like Lee Jun-kyung was just lucky enough to enter Asgard, but she didn't think that Lee Jun-kyung could beat Hercules. He also thought that Lee Jun-kyung was dangerous and decided to kill Lee Jun-kyung using his spear. But suddenly someone stopped Athena. From the source of the sound that stopped Athena, the figure of Heimdall appeared. Athena also asked why Heimdall was here, but Heimdall replied by asking the same thing. Athena thought that Heimdall seemed to be following his lightning. Heimdall then stood in front of Lee Jun-kyung to protect him. Athena also ordered Heimdall to step aside and said that Lee Jun-kyung must be killed right now. Hearing that, Heimdall threatened that if Athena killed Lee Jun-kyung, he would consider it a declaration of war on Asgard. Athena didn't expect Lee Jun-kyung to be so important to Heimdall. He thought it was funny because he thought nothing mattered to Heimdall. Heimdall just silently heard that. It wasn't long before Inev interrupted and asked permission to speak while introducing himself. Athena also recognized Inev as the leader of the Egyptian warriors. Hearing Athena's words, Inev felt honored that Athena recognized him. Inev then said that Nil asked for protection for the underdog. This surprised Athena. Since he was sure that Athena knew that in his hands was the Eye of Osiris, Inev then explained that he now had the authority to represent all of the Nile, and hoped that Athena would grant Nile's request. The gate will finally collapse any minute now. When it will happen, the Sky of Apocalypse is sponsoring Lee Jun-kyung with demonic energy resistance and purification. Because Lee Jun-kyung has acquired skills without being sponsored, he has now achieved extraordinary achievements, and received the achievement, He Who Carvers His Own Path. Thanks to that, the monostream skill was created. When Lee Jun-kyung was unconscious, Jung and Chang then realized that Lee Jun-kyung had woken up. He felt very relieved that Lee Jun-kyung had woken up. Lee Jun-kyung tried to say something, but his voice wouldn't come out. Because Lee Jun-kyung's body was completely destroyed, Jung and Chang asked Lee Jun-kyung to wait a moment because he wanted to call someone. After seeing the decoration of a round shield with 2 swords, Lee Jun-kyung was sure that this place was a round table. Not all powerful hunters have founded secret organizations to control the world from the shadows. There are also organizations that were founded in secret with good intentions. One of those is the Round Table. But even so, Lee Jun-kyung thought that they didn't move an inch. They just hide and move silently. They only moved when Britain was in danger of being crushed. Even with such powerful forces, they do nothing for change. However, Lee Jun-kyung's body is completely messed up right now. His body was crushed, his voice muffled, and his legs couldn't move. Lee Jun-kyung then tried to call Hyeon-mu, but he couldn't be called because Hyeon-mu was asleep. On second thought, he didn't need Hyeon-mu for the current situation. Lee Jun-kyung then checked his status. Lee Jun-kyung's level was over 50 at the moment, but his stats were dropping. He thought that it was a side effect of the red ore. He then realized that he had obtained a skill that rivaled a unique skill. Satisfied for now, he wished that he could be intimate with the Sky of Apocalypse forever. After Lee Jun-kyung's condition had slightly improved, Heimdall visited Lee Jun-kyung and asked how he was. He had heard that this was due to demonic energy. Because it's something that rarely happens, so there is no proper method of treatment or management. But he said after seeing Lee Jun-kyung at this time, he felt there was nothing to worry about. In Lee Jun-kyung's heart, he thought it shouldn't be difficult to get rid of demonic energy thanks to the monostream and the sponsorship of the Sky of Apocalypse. Heimdall then advised Lee Jun-kyung to focus on recovering first, and that he would question him later after Lee Jun-kyung recovered. After meeting Lee Jun-kyung, Heimdall attends a meeting to talk about Lee Jun-kyung. Athena said that Lee Jun-kyung's power was too dangerous, and Olympus asked for an investigation into Lee Jun-kyung's ability, but Heimdall refused because there was no reason for Asgard to reveal the abilities of its hunter members. In addition, Heimdall actually said that it was Olympus's Charius who gave an explanation here because Olympus had violated a secret agreement with Asgard. Asgard was promised victory in the Battle of the Great Warriors this time, and sent the designated hunters. If they knew Hercules broke the pact and entered the Battle of the Great Warriors, then it would be impossible for Asgard to send Lee Jun-kyung. In such a situation, Asgard's hunters only put up as much resistance as they could. Because of that, Heimdall thinks that Olympus should explain their actions in this situation. Athena also said that the power that Lee Jun-kyung had was dangerous. He had enveloped the entire gate in blue flames, and had also absorbed mana from other hunters. So far, there has never been such an incident. Because of that, Athena said that Olympus asked Underdog to be transferred. And if the request is not accepted, Athena states that Olympus is preparing for war against Asgard. Heimdall knew that absorbing other hunters' mana through fire was a dangerous and also an unheard-of ability. But Heimdall argued that the hunters themselves were dangerous from the start. All the participants in the meeting seemed to agree with Heimdall's words. Heimdall then says that they are all unknown creatures that did not exist before, and that hunters' abilities inspire fear and danger in everyone. For that reason, Olympus, who discussed the war over such matters, should take responsibility for his words because it shows disdain towards the hunters. Very annoyed, Athena telepathically told Heimdall that all this was his fault. Athena didn't understand why Athena was here. Every time he confronted Heimdall, he became very irritated and couldn't think straight. Athena then told him that she hoped the two of them would never meet again when this was over. Hearing that, Heimdall felt guilty. Elsewhere, Lee Jun-kyung has activated Mana Stream. By using that skill, he can read witch flow. He could understand about this after seeing Demetrius's mana flow. It uses the mana around it to amplify its strength. That way, the attack and defense will be stronger if you use it. So that's Mana Stream. Because of that, Lee Jun-kyung decided to use Mana Stream to recover as his priority right now. With Mana Stream, his skills synergize with regeneration, and Lee Jun-kyung's recovery speed is increasing. After a while using Mana Stream, Lee Jun-kyung vomited blood. It was the impure liquid from the Dragoon's bloodstone that was eating away at his body. He finally felt relieved. Now it was to restore the place that was previously affected by the impurity. A moment later, Lee Jun-kyung could feel something blocking the flow of mana. Lee Jun-kyung could feel a black marble blocking the flow of mana in his hump. Since he wasn't going to succeed at this rate, he decided to change the direction of his mana flow. While Lee Jun-kyung was recovering, Young In Chang and George were sparring at the moment. George put pressure on Young In Chang by making repeated attacks on Young In Chang. In front of Young In Chang, who was having trouble, George also said that Young In Chang was too slow. Annoyed at being called slow, Young In Chang counterattacked George. Seeing Young In Chang's attack, George also praised Young In Chang, who was finally able to do it. He taught that the attacks of monsters and humans are different, so Young In Chang must understand that. Young In Chang replied that he couldn't understand long sentences and then did a horizontal slash. George immediately ducked to avoid Young In Chang's attack and counterattacked. The attack also scratched Young In Chang's cheek, causing Young In Chang to back off. George also asked if he should stop here. Young In Chang was really disappointed because he couldn't help at all at the Chetharian Gate. He felt that not receiving the title indicated that he had not yet received recognition from his sponsor, and again, Young In Chang could not protect him. The message from Young In Chang's sponsor also said that the sponsor gave a pitying look. Young In Chang did not expect to hear words like that from his sponsor. Although Lee Jun-kyung thought he and Lee Jun-kyung started from the same starting line, but now Lee Jun-kyung is far ahead of him. And today, we are not progressing at all. He felt that he could not call himself Lee Jun-kyung's partner. Young In Chang then blamed himself. The reason Lee Jun-kyung almost died was because he was not strong enough. Because of that, Young In Chang once again approached George. After George noticed Young In Chang approaching, Young In Chang asked to fight one more time. Seeing Young In Chang's eyes made him feel that Young In Chang was just like him. He could see the regret of someone who couldn't protect others. He also put down the towel he was using and agreed to spar again. At that moment, Young In Chang was determined to become stronger. After returning from his training, George could feel Young In Chang's great potential while inside the Chetharian Gate, but he felt surprised. He thinks that Young In Chang is really strong because he gets stronger with every time they fight. This reminded him of Demetrius's past. In front of George right now was the still unconscious Demetrius. Something made George believe that Demetrius would like this. Also, George had mentioned that it seemed the underdog was awake by now as well. With a sad face, George asked Demetrius to wake up immediately. Because according to George, Demetrius lying like that really didn't suit him. Heimdall finally went to see Lee Jun-kyung again. Noticing Heimdall's arrival, Lee Jun-kyung asked him why he had come here. Heimdall was also impressed, because Lee Jun-kyung was able to move. Heimdall then asked if Lee Jun-kyung knew about lightning. Lee Jun-kyung knew that it was a divine item from Olympus, and also the authority of Zeus. After hearing Lee Jun-kyung's answer, Heimdall explained that there aren't many abilities in this world that are on par with Lightning Zeus. It was a special ability that was sought after and investigated. Hearing that made Lee Jun-kyung think that it was the same as Heimdall's Bifrost, which surprised Heimdall because Lee Jun-kyung knew about it. Then with a serious face, Lee Jun-kyung said there was something he wanted to say to Heimdall. Heimdall understood, but this was not the right place to have such a conversation and asked to follow him. Heimdall then brought Lee Jun-kyung to his domain, Bifrost. Seeing the view of the garden made Lee Jun-kyung say that the place was beautiful. Then without further ado, Heimdall asked whether Lee Jun-kyung was a prophet or a regressor. Lee Jun-kyung also answered that it was quite close to that. He also tells Heimdall that he reads books. More precisely, a book about Heimdall and his comrades. Also, the book is about a person known as the Demon King. Hearing that made Heimdall very surprised. Then after hearing Lee Jun-kyung's story further, Heimdall asked Lee Jun-kyung if he told him to believe Lee Jun-kyung's words that he had killed Lee Jun-kyung. Lee Jun-kyung answered that Heimdall didn't kill him, but he felt that Heimdall had already guessed that the incident would happen. Since Lee Jun-kyung even knew about Heimdall and Athena having dated, Heimdall felt he had no other choice but to trust Lee Jun-kyung, because he was sure that Heimdall told Heimdall that what he said was true. Lee Jun-kyung continued to tell him that his book was not finished. He told that what was written in the book was only the beginning, and the future of the rest was something he had personally experienced. There's a lot about Heimdall who disappeared, so what Lee Jun-kyung knows is only part of the whole. Heimdall finally understood and asked what Lee Jun-kyung's goal was. Lee Jun-kyung also answered that he wanted to change the unreasonable future he was experiencing because there were many things that would change from here. Bifrost does not distinguish lies from truth, but that's just judging if someone is trying to harm Heimdall. So Lee Jun-kyung apologized in his heart for not being able to tell Heimdall everything, because changing the future was not part of his role. In fact, it has arrived, and right now Inev is visiting Lee Jun-kyung from outside his bedroom window. Lee Jun-kyung couldn't stop thinking that Inev would sneak into the round table. So he asked what happened. Before telling him what he wanted to say, Inev apologized for his impoliteness, because he had endangered himself coming to that place to ask for help from Lee Jun-kyung. Lee Jun-kyung also thought that he had heard Inev asking for protection from him, but they shouldn't have anything to gain. Inev then knelt down and begged Lee Jun-kyung to visit the Nile. Witnessing that made Lee Jun-kyung very surprised when a Nile leader made a kneeling request to him. They only met by chance and helped each other in battle that time. Because of that, Lee Jun-kyung felt this was very strange. Lee Jun-kyung then asked for what reason. While about to give his reasons, someone finds Inev and screams, "Intruder!" Inev, who panicked, replied that it was because of red ore and begged Lee Jun-kyung to come to the Nile. After telling her what she wanted to say, Inev hurriedly ran away. Hearing Inev's request made Lee Jun-kyung think that thing should not have been known by any hunter. But if he thought about it, they immediately went to help after seeing the changes in Hercules. A moment later, Jung In-chang rushed in and asked if Lee Jun-kyung was okay. Lee Jun-kyung also said that it was not a big problem, and told him that Inev had come to talk. Because of this incident, after just finishing climbing a cliff, Lee Jun-kyung thought that he might have to face a bigger cliff. The roundtable negotiations had finally concluded. From the start, discussing the war had been Athena's fault. That way, since Olympus had broken their promise, they would have to take responsibility for that as well as the issue of Athena having discussed the war. Lee Jun-kyung and Jung In-chang can finally go home. But suddenly someone stopped them. Realizing that it was George's voice, Jung In-chang asked Lee Jun-kyung to step back and asked what George was doing right now. A world called Area, within that world, had swordsmanship magic and countless varieties of demons and monsters. So this was a world where everyone struggled for survival, and it was an ambitious world that constantly summoned aliens from all over the world. The city dimension, and it was the first place for the human summons to come. And then, he was the 27-year-old Lee Sung-min, a C-rank mercenary without talent, or in other words, that good background could only earn enough money to live every day in the area, with the small possibility of him discovering dungeons, unexplored. But after that, Lee Sung-min found the stone that activated it, and sent it back 13 years ago, before he first arrived in Area, and in his memory, he had something. Then after that, he said that he didn't want to be useless anymore, but since he was unemployed, he could do some things to strengthen himself. And then, Lee Sung-min first went to the Bone Grafting Academy to meet the famous doctor who helped him make the martial bone, the artificial skeleton that allows the user to learn martial arts faster than the average person. Then, on the other hand, this old doctor would soon die from an accident, so not many unemployed would get this chance. The second chance for Lee Sung-min is the practice of truth. It's a technique that allows the user to collect chi. It's in the Xenovis library. For Lee Sung-min, it's also easy to find. Then the third chance is the prize from the tournament held in the Colosseum in a year. And then, what Lee Sung-min needed to do now was to make money to live. And after he had the money, he decided to go hunting. Next time Lee Sung-min used what he earned to exchange with the innkeeper, he would let him stay for how many days, depending on the number of items, and because of that, he was in awe of Lee Sung-min. And then, when he went to the inn and asked for items to exchange for his own, he thought he would die soon. Lula, the boss's daughter, came to see Lee Sung-min and wanted him to work until the end, so he wouldn't have to hunt dangerous beasts anymore. But Lee Sung-min refused. He had done this lowly job in his previous life. But after that, in this life, he had to change his destiny. On his way to the forest to hunt, Lee Sung-min met a boy from another world. The boy was surrounded by evil people who wanted to persuade him to take medicine that would paralyze him. Lee Sung-min helped him remind him not to drink. But he was immediately beaten by the big guys on the ground. With his weak strength, he was quickly defeated by the big guys. And then the boy's hand flew the big people. After dealing with the tall man, Lee Sung-min brought the boy to the motel room. The person who Lee Sung-min just saved was a little angel with Weiji Hoyan. From a young age, he could use martial arts to the highest level, with Weiji Hoyan promising to teach martial arts to Lee Sung-min when he agreed to become his friend. And then, upon hearing these words, Lee Sung-min screamed with joy. Even though Weiji Hoyan was a year younger than him, his strength was immense. A 27-year-old boy, after being reborn, befriended a 13-year-old boy with Weiji Hoyan, started teaching secret techniques death to Lee Sung-min. But after that secret technique was the technique of an orthodox sect, with the unique characteristic of turning the user's internal energy into the color of the stone. 1 month after that day, taught by Weiji Hoyan, the secret technique of death, Lee Sung-min, he felt that he was getting stronger over time. Lee Sung-min's martial arts level is currently between 3rd and 2nd compared to his previous life, is a huge development. And then, Weiji Hoyan was dissatisfied with the result. He was the one who taught Lee Sung-min martial arts, but he could only do so much without any talent at all. When both of them were talking, Lee Sung-min defeated the Hell Demon. A person named Woon Hiryang saw him beat the demon prison and knew him, and wanted to join their group. Recently, the demon gang was building a new dungeon village. In this area, there were many reports about them attacking nearby villages. There was even a slaughter parade. That's why the mercenary guild gave a large amount of money to those who sweeping the dungeon village. The demons, they promised, would give a large amount of money to Lee Sung-min when completing the mission. But after that, even though he was somewhat suspicious of these people, in the end, Lee Sung-min agreed to follow them. Since quests and big rewards like this didn't appear often, the demons that lived in the village were around 50. They divided into 2 formations to attack him. And then, he criticized others as unkind, but this plan was fine. It would be better if they set a trap for people without jobs like Lee Sung-min, in his past life walking behind carrying a big bag. Lee Sung-min wanted him to hide first because he wasn't sure if he could protect her. Lee Sung-min frankly said that he wasn't sure he would be able to protect her. However, after that, when the demons came, maybe the man who was with Woon Hiro-young wouldn't help either. He didn't even pay attention to their conversation. But he couldn't leave, because he would be punished by the mercenaries guild if he gave up and ran away. He was the one who knew more better than anyone, because he has done this work in his life. And then, in the previous life when he arrived, Lee Sung-min brought water from his bag to dilute the mud, and put it on his body to hide the scent. Such a young, idle person to preside over the demon dungeon first, this decision was tantamount to giving him death because he did not know martial arts. Lee Sung-min once again felt sorry for his identity, so he rushed in front of Lee Sung-min alone, unable to destroy a large number of demon prisons at once. But now, thanks to what Weiji Hoyan showed him, he was able to do it. Lee Sung-min and Woon Hiro-young hunted many spaces underground, largely thanks to Woon Hiro-young's ability to cut off the ears of devils to provide evidence. Then the two of them went to find the other team to gather everyone happy to complete the mission. But Woon Hiro-young thought that the current problem had started. He threw a knife at one of the girls on the team, which killed him. But after that, where Lee Sung-min immediately guessed his intention and was not harmed by it, he knew everything beforehand because he had seen it executed in his previous life. Even though it was an event that happened 13 years ago, he still remembered it, because it was the first time he witnessed the execution column, Woon Hyeryang thought that even if he had killed many demons, he would still be killed by him. He was a second-class master, he was only a second affinity master. And then he can read his moves in the battle gradually. Leaning towards Lee Sung-min saw that he was going to fight. He took the idle old man hostage. He had seen that during the battle he always protected the old man. And in the end, Lee Sung-min and team members, the others who were still alive, managed to kill Woon Hyeryang. Unfortunately, the old man also died. The two of them went to the mercenary base to receive the money and split it. When he returned to the inn with Weiji Hoyeon, just smelled his body and knew that he had just killed someone. Lee Sung-min just said that if he was stronger, he could have saved the old man, and asked if she was trying to hide something. Because when roaming the streets, he tries to understand this world. He sees many things and knows the suffering of the unemployed. Most of them are very poor. But according to him, humans don't need to think when killing insects. Meanwhile, they are very hesitant when they have to kill small animals. But Lee Sung-min is different. Will Weiji Hoyeon know that the first day he was summoned, he went straight to the forest to hunt monsters? Idle people don't do that because they don't put their own lives first to kill a suitable life. Even if he is not unemployed, a 14-year-old boy like him can't do this with point Weiji Hoyeon. Next, Lee Sung-min has no talent at all. And then if he teaches you the 10 parts, he will only absorb 3-4 parts of the strange thing. That is, he has only learned to wield the spear for nearly 2 months, but his spear skills are very good with Weiji Hoyeon, using his unrivaled secret martial art technique, and 20 parts of his inner energy in exchange for Lee Sung-min's secret, because he is his only friend, and both of them share a secret. And then, when Lee Sung-min was reincarnated and Weiji Hoyeon was a girl, his father wanted him to do this for the sake of the cult, because only a boy could become the leader of a satanic cult. He then fulfilled his promise to him, and taught him martial arts with Weiji Hoyeon doing a contract infusion to Lee Sung-min. Internal chi is the energy that accumulates in a boxer's body. And then, when a boxer uses this energy, he gains supernatural powers because there are very few ways to increase his inner chi. Other than the practice exercises, all martial artists have to spend their whole lives refining and accumulating energy. Can see that this is a very precious thing. After doing this process, Lee Sung-min's body can only withstand half of the internal air. But the remaining internal energy will clean his meridians. If he continues to use the secret technique, he will be able to make a number of his internal attacks. Lee Sung-min asked why he sacrificed so much for him, with Weiji Hoyeon only replied because they were good friends. And then the first friend he ever had with Weiji Hoyeon asked Lee Sung-min, what memories did he have of him in his previous life? He was busy making a living. So he only heard about him through rumors he heard, that he ruled over the top of area with extraordinary power. After he was summoned, he left the city for only a month, and was missing for 3 years with Weiji Hoyeon. Thought maybe he traveled for those 3 years. What he craved most was freedom. Being inside a devil cult meant that there was only freedom in the control of the demon lord. That too, why when he was summoned to this world he was so happy to have a friend like Lee Sung-min. A month has passed. Lee Sung-min's strength has increased dramatically. It's time for Weiji Hoyeon to say goodbye to him. But after that, the two broke the previous match with Weiji Hoyeon. He gave Lee Sung-min 20 moves before he counterattacked. In those 20 moves, Weiji Hoyeon pointed out what Lee Sung-min was lacking at the moment, and asked him to learn more when he ran out of 20 moves. In the counterattack and straight loss, Lee Sung-min disgracefully admitted that he lost to Weiji Hoyeon, thought he did a good job. And because of that, he is very satisfied with his skills. He is trying to apply what he teaches. He is quite looking forward to the next 10 years. Last month he asked what his purpose in life is. But he still doesn't know if that is the case. Then does Weiji Hoyeon want him to be a target for him? Strive for it as a person? You must have a goal. Otherwise life will be like a boat floating on the sea. Lee Sung-min thinks it's impossible because he is not a genius, and he is smart and talented with Weiji. Hoyeon hates his disgusting self-doubt of guilt he has in his previous life. Stopping him wasn't a good thing now that he had studied secret arts. He had become a second-grade hero in just 3 months, which meant he was getting a second chance. But now he has self-doubt, even the ability to find targets, after being taught by Weiji Hoyeon. Lee Sung-min also understands. Lee Sung-min has decided on 3 big goals. The first is to continue to survive. The second is to seize opportunities thanks to his past life. Memories of the ultimate goal together. Weiji Hoyan. There are three things that Lee Sung-min can get from Xenovis during this period of pure natural martial arts. Martial bone, the last, is the tournament. And then, without a career, Xenovis often organizes tournaments, and tournaments that Lee Sung-min wants to participate in is a no-job tournament, which only people without a job can participate in 10 months after Weiji Hoyan left. He spent all his time practicing martial arts, Lee Sung-min, up to first place. And so he won the unemployment tournament by simply collecting. Easy for him. The prize for the winner was a divine energy fairy pill that could increase internal strength. Until now, Lee Sung-min had gotten everything he could from Xenovis. And then, Lee Sung-min went to look for Uncle Hans, who sells lost armor. When he was summoned thanks to his help with the first move he got. Where was he today when he met his Uncle Hans again? He was very happy with his achievement. Lee Sung-min came here today to say goodbye to Uncle to go somewhere else. He gave him his precious space bag, but he didn't agree to accept anything from him. And then, after meeting Uncle, she went home to transfer to Master, after hearing the news of giving him a temperature-keeping robe and magic swordsmanship in his previous life. It took 3 years to leave this place without knowing anyone in this life. Lee Sung-min only needed 1 year and already had good friends. And then, Lee Sung-min remembered his date with Weiji Hoyan. He doesn't know the geography of this world, so it's up to him to decide to meet you again at the B hangar. In 10 years there are 9 more years until that date. Lee Sung-min doesn't know where to go. He doesn't need to go to the danger. Soon, he can't become a mercenary either. He needs time to train. Lee Sung-min remember Mount Mercy, Mercy being the Arya god who is responsible for managing the trials and tribulations in the Mount Mercy of God's territory. And then, after casting a ban on one's senses and body, he should be able to complete the exercise several hundred times more effectively. Lee Sung-min decided to go up Mercy Mountain. He practiced with the prohibition given by the priest. Lee Sung-min received 2 bans. The first was a power ban that made Lee Sung-min endured everything heavy, be it the space bag or just the heavy bread. The second forbidden thing was the taste made him eat everything in disgust. He even felt insects crawling on the bread. These 2 challenges made Lee Sung-min exhausted. But after that, a week passed. He could not hunt animals for food, or find anything to eat, and danger lurked in this forest. Lee Sung-min started to regret, and wanted to give up. At this moment a girl appeared, and brought the deer that he just missed. He was challenged to speak. He wanted to help Lee Sung-min, or he would die for sure. The girl who came to help Lee Sung-min said, he was a kind person. Whenever he was in trouble, he would show up and help him. Then when Lee Sung-min knew her name, he was very surprised. Baek Sogo was a famous person. Name in previous life, Baek Sogo was Lightning Girl because her dagger was as fast as lightning. The reason why he was shocked was that Baek Sogo would die in 8 years, and the one who killed her was an angel with practitioner, Ouija Mountain rules. Hoyan Murphy will receive a ban every 6 months. They will receive another ban. Practitioners cannot harm each other. Lee Sung-min is curious about the remaining practitioners. Baek Sogo takes him there to introduce himself. And then, there he met the future great magician, the future martial artist, and the current magic swordsman on this mountain. Having only 4 people standing after training for more than half a year, Lee Sung-min knew that this lineup would become an important character in the future. Front, who are going to make a name for themselves. Everyone finds a special feature, even though he just signed on and received 2 of these bans. After that, though, the old man inside guessed that Lee Sung-min entered this mountain to get stronger, so he had 2 understandable orders. According to the old man, he wanted to surpass his limits. By all means, the old man couldn't help but consider it interesting that he will keep staring at him. Lee Sung-min wondering where is the other person. His name is Flam. Everyone advised him not to come near him. And then 4 months passed, and Lee Sung-min got used to everything. He felt himself getting stronger, even though the taste of food was getting harder to swallow, and his body was heavier today. During practice, Lee Sung-min met a person called Flam. Remember what people said, don't meet Flam? He will feel hopeless, like no matter how hard someone tries, he is superior to everyone else. Flam is now approaching the man he wants to know. He guessed that he has heard other people talk about it. Flam needs friends your age, don't want to hear him keep talking nonsense. And then, Lee Sung-min said sorry and went to practice. Lee Sung-min couldn't believe Flam was a genius because he seemed a true genius all year round. You don't have time to waste with someone like that. But when he left, Flam quietly took the spear from hand Lee Sung-min unbeknownst to him. When he saw him lying in Flam's hands, he was furious. The greatest insult to a boxer had to be disarmed to have a spear in Flam's hands. And then, recreating the moves that were practiced a lot, Lee Sung-min. To Lee Sung-min's confusion, he can use magic he only saw once. Flam doesn't understand why people come here to train so hard. No matter how hard everyone tries, he still catches up to Lee Sung-min, angrily left with no intention of taking back his spear. And then, he already knew why people didn't want him around Flam. This Flam still wouldn't stop talking. He wanted Lee Sung-min to come down the mountain, with his talent enough to make a living. At this point he forgot that he couldn't fight on this mountain, and rushed to Flam and punched him. The missed punch was also ridiculed by Flam. Lee Sung-min couldn't contain his anger, and left. Then Lee Sung-min's anger kept calling Mercy. He wanted to add a restraining order to Mercy, which appeared a ban on taste and weight. He couldn't even deal with Lee Sung-min. He still wanted to add a ban this time. God Mercy revealed the fact that he came back from the dead because of his eyes being able to see through the cause and effect of humans. Every human is destined to die at birth. Against that is the nature of cause and effect. And then, Mercy told him the price he had to pay for breaking the rules. But Lee Sung-min didn't care. When he woke up, Baek Sogo was already very worried. He saw that he had another restraining order. Lee Sung-min ban, also warmth and dream. Ban Baek Sogo kept calling him crazy. The ban on the senses and the abstract concepts is even tougher. And then, Lee Sung-min gently replied, because he has no talent. Baek Sogo thought his martial record was very good, but his progress was slower than the number of bans. Lee Sung-min told Baek Sogo that he has a goal that is difficult to achieve with his talent. He didn't do this for being angry at the fire to compete with someone with extraordinary talent. And then, he had to do something extraordinary. Baek Sogo thought he could understand his goal. His goal was to become the strongest man in this world before he asked him to teach him about business. Now he accepted to teach him. In his dream, Lee Sung-min saw him fight with Weiji Hoyeon. But all his movements are predictable by him. He can't believe this is all him. But after that, after 10 years of training with Weiji Hoyeon, thought that teaching him martial arts was a mistake, and it seemed that 10 years of hope and effort were wasted. He didn't need to practice anymore because he would leave after gathering everything with Weiji Hoyeon, destroying his Aku point. Dantian, he will no longer be able to practice martial arts. After waking up from a dream, Lee Sung-min found that the future Scarlet Great Wizard and the magic sword in June has come to find him. You don't know why they came looking for you? Scarlet answered the question. They came to help him. It is Baek Sogo. And then, asking them to come to her aid when she accepted her as an older sister, she also fulfilled her responsibilities as an older sister for her. Scarlet bought the rights to the magic axis that was brought to Lee Sung-min, consisting of 3 types of purification spells. The first thought that helped him purify his deep mind has been defiled by nightmares. The second spell makes him stronger and faster. The third spell is the magic that restores the health of the magic sword duck in June, also helps him practice swordsmanship. And then, when he saw Lee Sung-min being tortured, in the hot ban he took action to help him feel more comfortable. If he didn't receive everyone's help, he would have died long ago. After the regression, the most he received was everyone's help. But after that, half a year has passed. Lee Sung-min met Flam again, while training, or rather, Flam came to look down on him. He called you larva half a year ago. Thought he would not be able to survive. But a year has passed. When he found out that Lee Sung-min chose his voice ban, Flam can't stop laughing at him. Because it's the easiest tire. Flam observes Lee Sung-min as a completely different person than half a year ago. The movement of blocking and thrusting the spear are all very decisive. Flam continues to laugh at him, because he received 5 bans and only progressed so lots. But Lee Sung-min didn't pay attention to Flam from start to finish, but only focused on practicing. Flam furiously grabbed the spear in his hand and attacked Lee. Sung-min now understood that he could attack indirectly. Flam said, "The world is very unfair. Everyone has to work hard to get a place what they wanted." But he got it easily. Lee Sung-min used his mouth to respond. Flam gave him a meaningless effort, but he can try in a way that a genius like him cannot. But after that, a month later, Lee Sung-min has been a practitioner for a year, received his 6th band when he heard he would continue to hear scary voices. But there was a time when he didn't hear Flam's scorn. Mercy called Lee Sung-min into outer space. Though still a while before receiving the restraining order, Lord Mercy congratulated Lee Sungmin for passing his exam. And then, the existence of Flam itself is a challenge. Lee Sungmin remembers Baeksogo Scarlet and Doc in June, who have trained for more than half a year in the mountain. They will all become prestigious powerhouses in the area, but he has never heard of the name Flam. He thought it was impossible for Flam to be unknown to him in his previous life. If he has a strange real talent. Thought he wasn't in the first place, Mercy confirmed it was a test to make despair. The other three people were very talented. Seeing Flam in despair, they chose to look away, or avoid Flam. But Lee Sungmin was different, even though he didn't have talent, but he didn't hide from Flam. And then, but instead made him target even further. He throws himself into even tougher challenges, which is a reckless way to solve the problem. Flam can't discourage him. Mercy told Lee Sungmin that there is no such thing as coincidence in area, the law of cause, because everything has a reason. If you come back, it means something will happen and need you to come back. Once he comes back, he must be ready to get the reason he backed down this time. Baeksogo came to look for Lee Sungmin, and then he wanted to go down the mountain and stop practicing. Actually, Baeksogo didn't have to work hard because he's also a type of genius. He's been on the mountain for 2 years and has achieved his goal. But Baeksogo was afraid that when he left Lee, Sungmin would die because you kept getting temporary bans. You're overpowered. He still hasn't finished teaching him spiritual practice. Maybe he should stay a little longer. Lee Sungmin seemed to read Baeksogo's mind and told him to leave. He'll be fine thanks to him. He was able to last so long now, he can carry it himself. Baeksogo, go. But after that, a few moments later, anchored in June, and Scarlet also came down the mountain. Everyone she knew on this mountain had left, and it had been a long time. Lee Sungmin felt lonely. Next summer, the crickets started chirping. 7 years later, Baeksogo will meet Weiji Hoyeon and was killed in the dungeon to pay back Sogo Baek. He had to stop him. Even though his martial arts skills were improving day by day, it was still not enough. Lee Sungmin once again and increased the difficulty every day. He slept less and practiced swinging the spear with the time he spends sleeping. And then, the next band that Lee Sungmin chose was the secret visual prohibition to be able to move without seeing. It was to sharpen his remaining senses and remember his surroundings. Things were not easy for Kim Sungmin over the years, but his strength was also increasing continuously. It's time for Lee Sungmin to leave this place. When he regained his lost senses, he was so happy to see no longer smell the stench and the noise. Mercy asked what to give him. And then, during the last 3 years, Lee Sungmin spent 3 years in the mountain. He did well and endured all the bans. There were many people who were banned. But then give up or die. Once in a while, someone like Lee Sungmin and Mercy are so happy that he wants to give her something. Lee Sungmin wants to be a genius boxer. But this is too sublime for him. He traded something with time. He can't reach his goal with something not good enough. He has to be stronger. Mercy fulfilled his request. Lee Sungmin got a dreamer and showed near his badge. And then, he is the god of time and will give you a test. Mercy has told him before that to compare his ordeal with hers is too humane. Next, where he helped Lee Sungmin to become a member of Arabrisa before Lee Sungmin left Mirshi. Once again mentioned that this regression requires his attention leaving Mountain of Mercy. And Lee Sungmin's next goal is Dryer. After 3 years of training in the mountains, he has become a body of a very good martial artist. Lee Sungmin is currently 18 years old to be a great boxer. At this age, people will think he is a genius. But it's a hard process. Devnark magic armor found in dungeons. Dark magician near Bahanger Devnark ability is C-rank mercenary. Extraordinary, about 2nd or 3rd rank, can become the greatest martial artist. In short time, if he is an artist, great martial artist, get that armor, then he can become the greatest martial artist. He can do more work in Mercy Mountain. But he couldn't pass up this opportunity in half a year of dungeon. The mage would be wiped out until then. When in Bahanger, he needed to train to become a mercenary and participate in raids in the guild. Mercenary Bahanger, he told a bartender. That he wants to be a mercenary, the barman tells him. If he wants to be a mercenary, he has to go upstairs again, laughing. A boy wants to be a mercenary. But in an instant, the fork in his hand was taken away by him. Chisword, everyone there was shocked. A great martial artist. The bartender apologized for his words before he introduced himself as a magician named Baron, who was the president of the Bahanger Branch Mercenary Guild, through acquired memories in a previous life. Lee Sungmin found this place. This is where he saw many familiar faces normally. If a top martial artist came to them, they would. Gave them the position of an S-rank mercenary, but they wanted to verify him, so they needed him to confirm by giving him a mission. This time Lee Sungmin would be hunting ogres accompanied by an S-rank mercenary. But when they arrived, they met a chimera that magically created to become a super being was the mandatory one organism limit, which could be broken when artificially mixed with another organism. So even a chimera created by an F-class goblin would have B-rank stats that tame, or so high that their danger cannot be measured. If it was created by an ogre, an S-rank mercenary would not be able to fight against an S-rank mercenary. Accompanying Lee Sungmin quickly found a place to hide the restraints that once held him back. However, Chimera was too strong a sword, he still had not even scratched it. It was too late for both of them to escape. He was forced to join forces with Lee Sungmin, but Lee Sungmin stopped him somehow. But he had faith that he would win. And then, he stood outside continuously calling him crazy. He found his weak point in the eye and attacked it, but it quickly healed itself. The S-rank mercenaries outside became even more panicked. It was made of Trolla Chimera that Troll had the ability to regenerate. Skin wounds can't beat it until now. Lee Sungmin really didn't know what to do next. You can't die in a place like this at this time. Lee Sungmin remembered what Weiji Hoyun would teach him. He was the basic technique of spearmanship, and he had asked him to practice it every day, repeat this until he got used to it. And then, it is time to confirm your training results. First skill deployment is external development of both swinging the spear and launching attack. Second step is internal cultivation while rotating the spear while rolling opponent's attack, plaster straight attack. All three moves are successful. The attack is very effective as Who expected his joints to be really weak. Before the monster recovered, he could only attack with all his might. But after that, the place where the wound was inserted couldn't be healed. During the battle, Lee Sungmin always felt that the monster was very slow. Or for some other reason, he was faster. Suddenly, Lee Sungmin heard the sound of a cricket. The kind of sound he heard in the cultivation mountain. Remembering the word flam said that he is an insect. Lee Sungmin obviously pupates in the mountains, but he won't become a flea. Only crickets can't satisfy him. He doesn't want to be sorry. Lee Sungmin doesn't know what awaits him at the end of the road. But you just have to be prepared and keep going till the end. The last monster is annihilated by the shock of the S-rank mercenary accompanying him. You tell him you are not a larva. The sentence I can't help but exclaim is an attractive child with the ability to capture chimeras to be on par with SS rank. But the problem is that there is no precedent for giving SS rank. Until now, Lee Sungmin agreed on S rank. It's fine to arrange the reward from capturing Chimera Alger total 47,000 ER. All the money is his because the mercenaries who follow can't contribute. When he was away, the Baron wanted to see the battle with his own eyes, so he used magic based on the mercenaries' memory to review. He confirmed that he was not a real rank S. Then he will try to recommend it for you. In just 4 years, Lee Sungmin has gone from jobless to master. Baron said Zeon must be very greedy after receiving money. Lee Sungmin used all that money to buy weapons. However, initially he had no problem with him. His current weapon as long as he could swing and stab him. But when he finished fighting Algeria, it was different. If he used a better weapon, it would be easier to defeat him. He didn't want to lead to a disadvantageous situation. Simply because the gun is no good. Lee Sungmin called Neville and told him that he wanted to buy a weapon that was a broker, opened up a room for him to meet a blacksmith. Selgrease, he wanted to see how you use a spear. Lee Sungmin was shocked. Flaunting martial arts to others was a taboo. For martial artists, he needs to know how he is, and his technique to create a match that fits. But Lee Sungmin hesitated a little, but finally agreed. He was surprised that other people would normally be skeptical. The weapon will be forged in about a few months, and now is Lee Sungmin's spare time. The match against Chimera Alger was the first match against a real top player. After experiencing many things now, all you need to do is make it his own. And then, after being sealed while cultivating in the mountains, everything had been converted into skills. During the match against Algeria, he also felt the emotions in his body flowing involuntarily by itself, which must be the sixth sense as an extraordinary power, but can't rely on it. Lee Sungmin's mercenary guild wants to find out about the body. According to the magician Baron's body, it must have been created by someone he hasn't found yet, Kamara Algar in his previous life. However, but in the current situation, it seems that in half a year the Lord of Hell will be found to be the creator of Algeria. Just killing him can change the future of the Hebinger Guild. He met Kim Jong-un, Black Magician, who was studying the corpse of Chimera Ogre Lee Sung-min. Also wants to see the future body front has taken a completely different trajectory, which he needs to gather more information to be able to calculate smoothly front. Again he tells him about the law of cause and effect, like the Mershi had told him before, about the law of cause and effect. And then, Lee Sung-min, who is distorted life and death if the basic law is violated, will suffer terrible retribution. He knows more but can't say otherwise. Both of them will die too in Hebinger Guild. He met Scarlet again when I heard that you came to here to meet Kim Jong-un, who was worried. But he really lost his mind. If you can't get involved with him, he told him to take care of himself with that man. Lee Sung-min felt too vague about swamp lines and Kim about people acting weird with him. Once again he took the same quest with S-rank mercenary. Last time his name was Rouge, last time when he defeated the troll he joined. This time he wanted to show everyone. And then, the strength of the new destiny relationship with Lee Sung-min. He received one thing in his second life: that man can't live alone. Brute is a good friend to accompany him. Thanks to his companion for a long time, his hardened heart was somewhat comforted. 3 months passed like that. This time through the search, Lee Sung-min received 50 million received news from Mage Baron. And then, the captain of the mercenary squad, Flare Zeon, wants to meet him. Zeon wants you to join his mercenary team. He will give you the Shaolin pill, which is the spiritual medicine of the Shaolin Temple. And if it is used, it will have great internal power. As long as he signs the letter, he will always obey the Zeon's orders. But Lee Sung-min denies he doesn't want to be a slave. It takes so long to finish the weapon because Lee Sung-min changed his mind halfway. It absorbs mana and power very well, and is easier to cast. Neville says that the materials used to make this spear are very expensive. However, even though Lee Sung-min kept on giving more money, which he earned in the middle, but most of the money was spent on materials cost, which was honestly the same as giving it. Never said that Lee Sung-min somehow had an unusual charm that made people want to help him. Neville's words made him somewhat convinced of what he had previously suspected. If it was true that he had the privilege of winning people's sympathy, then the fateful connection obtained in the past was actually the fake Lee Sung-min, and the crude preparations to raid the dungeon with the mercenary team Flare. Future time. And then, it finally changed as he had feared since he killed the Chimera Algeria. The guild started investigating the Black Magicians. The dungeon was discovered 3 months earlier than his previous life. He discovered that since leaving the mountain, his gong had never increased. That's why he needed magic armor so badly. Devnak now, seeing him rough thinking, was worried that he was scared. So he always went to his side to give advice. Those who dare to play rough tricks will cut them with obscene swordsmanship. It is very difficult to get into the dungeon. However, from the start, according to Lee Sung-min's past life memories, this dungeon was an empty dungeon, and there were no chimera monsters here. But now there were too many cameras. If that was the case, then surely in this life the master of the dungeon. In here, the human damage is too great. It is not good to continue like this. Zeon mercenary team is unharmed. He is just protecting his mercenary team. Even though everything is difficult, he can still do it. Lee Sung-min does not deny his talent, but Zeon is too annoying. And after that, everyone found out that the people who appeared so far were on a mission to stall for time. If so, then the owner of this tomb had already fled. Everyone went deep inside, and Metador, since there were no traps here, everyone would scatter to found him. Lee Sung-min saw a letter appear in the direction he was going. He found a book about magic armor. Lee Sung-min followed the stairs down, but he didn't know that Zeon was with him. Then he wanted to deal with you. Someone as talented as you will one day surpass him. Baron was taken to another room by his subordinates, so he wouldn't be able to save him. But he didn't expect to be Rude to appear. Rude immediately saw Predator Tiger Eyes. Lee Sung-min didn't wait for Rude to take action. And then, he hugged Zeon and jumped down the stairs together. He had to get equipment with magic armor, which would increase his strength so his chances of winning would be higher. At the same time, Lee Sung-min saw Zeon's magic armor beat Brute. Lee Sung-min saw Ruff lying on the ground. Continuously angry eyes stared at Zeon. Zeon continued to insult him. He wanted him to understand that rolling around in this godforsaken world without work would not end well. Only strength is everything. Lee Sungmin attacked him. But right now his strength was not strong enough to fight Zeon. He takes the spear out of hand. And then, Lee Sungmin punched him away, continuously complimenting the weapon in his hand. While the armor hanging nearby gradually merged into Lee Sungmin's body, Zeon was stunned by the power. He didn't know what this black energy was, but it looked dangerous. Then he went to see if she wanted him to do it again. The incident just now made him think that he had received some items, and then increased his strength. But neither the internal energy nor the power changed. Everyone gathered together, and there was a loud voice from within the black magician who had the dungeon land. After that, appeared the Baron was arrested. He shouted danger to all colored people to escape from here, but it was too late. The path was blocked, the dark magician said, that they couldn't come here. Originally, it was his arrangement for them to reach this area. He was in a mood good heart today. Thanks to that, he cut a lot of good tribute. Then, on the day his wish came true, not far away, the battle quickly ended. The black magician slaughtered everyone, including dozens of SS rank mercenaries. Baron, a skilled magician, was split in half. In an instant, his body was lying on the dungeon floor. Even Zeon was easily tamed. Only Lee Sungmin was left alive in such a terrible state. He thought things would be different from his previous life, that he was no longer a worm. But as a result, she is still a black witch worm, wants to become a woman to achieve countless things. Alchemists failed to do so in their lives. That's why she tries to become a woman. Today is a good day. She will use a boy with bad. The karma he met in the past as the black magician's sacrifice was happy. That he was getting closer to his dream, but when he sacrificed, the demon king refused the sacrifice. Was he, the black magician, did not believe in the truth of his soul, with bad karma very suitable as a sacrifice. However, but it was refused, and in the end he wanted to know who you are, so he looked at your memories. When Lee Sungmin woke up again, his essence was gone. He was relieved to see that he was still alive. After that, someone used telepathic magic to call him for help. He is the owner of the Pyramid of Witches. He swore to his mana that after he saved her, he would reward her handsomely. Before both of them left, Sungmin fainted. Kaya Preskin was a black magician who staggered away. He didn't understand what happened. Preskin used depression spell on Lee Sungmin. However, somehow the magic backfired. The other magics were unaffected. Only the memory-reading magic was affected. Even the Demon King refused to accept her as a sacrifice, as this size was too large, causing her to consume a lot of magic power. And then, so she had to use the person she attacked, who was lying on the floor, to replenish her magic power. Now that she met him, it seemed she was still doing that. Detestable research. 10 years later, he finally found her. She found him injured. Of course, good things would be easier for him. And then, he will first destroy his body, and then slowly find the treasure in life. Zeon pretended to be dead at this time, and went to propose to the master of the pyramid, the great wizard, to destroy the dark magician. He apologized that the Zeon rank did not help him, but he was rejected sacrifice by the Demon King, and a monster came to the door. Then he had to call a wizard, even though the current witch is still not perfect. But she is kind-hearted, even though her body still has one heart. And then, while using magicians to avoid critical situations, in the end he was seriously injured. And while the unconscious Prescan ran away, that was also why he asked Lee Sungmin to break the heart. He told him the whole incident. He thanked him and promised to repay him with whatever he wants as long as he can. But right now he doesn't want anything, so he will keep this promise. Lee Sungmin thought that if he knew that he had absorbed Black Heart, he would have killed him immediately in life memory. Previously, Prescan was the owner of Tower of Black Magic, but he was forbidden to die. For violating the ban, the person in charge of the task was him. After 10 years of tracking, he fell into an ambush. Then he died in the cave, and he failed until now. Who should have lived impolitely, who died because of his decline, and the should be dead alive. Lee Sungmin met him again. He has many things to ask him. He wants to know what this armor is. And then, this was a mandatory contract tool. It was related to a transcendent being like a demon lord or a demon lord. But when he put it on, nothing happened. Then there was a possibility of him signing a contract with a stronger master, of a magic armor possessor who also became the reason why the Demon King rejected him. As the next victim of trouble, the Demon King was the one who instilled fear in everyone. However, but actually he can maintain his sanity in front of him, and can explain. And also the problem related to Black Heart. If it's a god, they will have more answers. Lee Sungmin decided to go to Drymoor and meet the god of time. Denier on the way Lee Sungmin met Scarlet. He heard her going, also offered to go with her. However, since they all have jobs there, it's better to have someone to talk to actually. Lee Sungmin doesn't want to go with Scarlet. He doesn't hate being with her. Scarlet is a genius, with special magic in the future. She will set up a laser school, and will soon be owner of the Magic Tower. A chain of friends with someone like that was a good idea. But why were people so friendly with him if everyone he had ever met had no interest in him? But something behind her back, so the relationship so far is all a lie. But if it's true, then Scarlet is following her. For some special reason, but if she has something rough, then she won't be able to forgive herself before leaving the dungeon. And then, he searched Zio's body and found a lot of precious things. He has small life medicine, great life medicine, and secret martial art Shaolin. He has absorbed all of that inner power. The problem is that it's hard to absorb some. Lee Sungmin doesn't know what happened. Was it related to Black Heart, not to go with Scarlet? Instead of going to Dremor, he went to Breton. He used an excuse to return the young lord's secret art to them. But Scarlet still wanted to follow him. She had nothing to do with, just wanted to visit the outside world. At this point, Lee Sungmin decided to think more positively. Having someone to talk to while walking was also good, and they were both less dangerous. Both of them were back preparing to go. Preskin couldn't control the witch well. Because she woke him up too hastily, it didn't listen to his orders. But it won't hurt him. Because the seal of obedience works well, Prescan orders the wizard to go to the dungeon to get his heart back. Even though his father tells him to go somewhere else, he feels something strange in this direction. The closer he gets, the faster his heart beats more quickly. At the same time, Lee Sungmin also felt his heart beating fast. The mage appeared in front of Lee Sungmin and Scarlet. For a moment he almost lost his heart, thanks to Scarlet's help. Now he thought of the chimera Prescan, something Lloyd said to him. It killed Zeon in an instant, and the great mage Lloyd had a hard time surviving. Lee Sungmin didn't know if he could do it now, but thinking about Scarlet's safety, she was determined to fight it. Her attacks were unconventional, and her fists were much stronger than Chimera Orange. Scarlet approached it feeling that it had very strong magic resistance, but her magic was more special because she added spells to make it her magic while speaking. Scarlet being attacked by him this time. And then, it was thanks to Lee Sungmin that he was able to escape from danger. At this time, Lee Sungmin found that his punch was very familiar, and it could absorb the power of what the damn monster ate. Lee Sungmin couldn't block the sword, or counter its attack. Scarlet, who was standing outside, used magic to burn the witch's face, making her so angry she wants to run back to attack her again. Scarlet uses magic to block her leg. In an instant, Witch rose and cuts off her leg. Next, the witch automatically grows a new pair of legs and heals the sting on her face. Scarlet finds the damn thing. This is too annoying. Both of them think that although it has very good regeneration, it has a limit, a mono limit. They decide it will be more profitable to play. Both at the same time continue hurt him badly. If this continued, the witch's mana would run out and they would be temporarily stopped, interrupting the magician, showing them the large amount of mana he had. After that, the magician repeatedly attacked Lee Sungmin, causing him to fall to the ground. Covered in blood, Scarlet could only counter it while giving no Lee Sungmin not to die. Lee Sungmin, you have to change and have changed. Worms can only crawl if one step is not enough. Take 10 steps or 100 steps. But he failed to do that. He was satisfied with just one step. In the end, he chose the easier path on the grounds of wanting to get demon armor and leaving the mountain. The price to pay for this decision was the lives of many people. And then, Lee Sungmin couldn't die, nor did he let Scarlet die using all his strength. Lee Sungmin attacked the witch and injured her right, before Scarlet surprised her. Then Lee Sungmin then passed out for 3 days straight. Scarlet called the doctor and gave him medicine for the wound. Lee Sungmin found that he only needed 3 days to heal his broken bones. Could this be the effect of Black Heart? Black Heart? Scarlet asked what he was hiding from her about Monster Child. Lee Sungmin told everything about Monster Child and Black Heart. Only now he knows why he often looking for it. And then Lee Sung-min wanted to know why Scarlet didn't run away with that dangerous situation, when the phantom girl's target was him, because she didn't want to do that. She grew up in war and lost her motherland and her loved ones, which she didn't really do. It wasn't like that. Scarlet could see that Lee Sung-min didn't want people to get close to him. For fear of not being able to protect everyone, he wanted him to stop worrying about those useless things. If you don't want to lose someone important, then be strong means strong enough not to be in a dangerous situation like that again. Because she did the same thing with Scarlet, who left wanting her to be ready to go to Brendan tomorrow to be stronger. Lee Sung-min knew that at the last moment against the wizard child, what came out of the tip of his spear was enhanced energy. Same as Scarlet, said he didn't need to think about useless things anymore. He will continue to get stronger. Lee Sung-min and Scarlet went to this Brendan. It was their first time in Central Plain City. They decided to go eat something before going to Shaolin. When the two entered the restaurant, there was a group of people checking on the two of them. Scarlet didn't understand why they did it. Lee Sung-min thought it was because he was a martial artist reaching the maximum level would have a certain amount of internal strength. They noticed his internal strength during the conversation. Scarlet called them flies. They heard they immediately started sparring with him. He took out his sword and attacked Scarlet. A man appeared using a coin to beat. His name is Nam Gung Animal, and he wants to sit at the table for two since sitting at the table. Nam Gung Animal has been staring at Lee Sung-min. When he found out that he was only 18 years old, he was very surprised. At the age of 18, he was able to reach the ultimate martial arts master level. He guessed maybe you are a little angel with Weiji Hoyeon. There are only 3 martial arts masters who are respected as heavenly devils in the blood of Area Angel Beck, Wuxian Crazy Demon, Hua Juan Pei, and Little Angel Weiji Hoyeon. Because of his name, people think he is weaker than the other two. But that's not the case. Nam Gung Animal wants to compete with Lee Sung-min. Experience against strong opponents can help him push his limits. And so he accepted Nam Gung's challenge. He wanted to bet that whoever loses will become another student. Both of them started preparing for the match. When entering the match, Lee Sung-min could feel the changes in the aura of the sword around the animal Namgang in his previous life. And then, he was the strongest successor generation in the Nam Kung clan. He felt his strength from him. He must be the greatest martial artist. Lee Sung-min couldn't just stand up and use his speed to attack. He was shocked when he used his magic synchronous destruction speed. He couldn't believe he would approaching so quickly while wielding a spear wouldn't summon someone younger than him. And from the beginning, the match Lee Sung-min was more profitable because he's older than you. Even if you lose, you won't lose anything. Finally, the match ended. Lee Sung-min lost to Nam Gung Animal. Lee Sung-min called him senior brother. He also thought that he was very strong, but he doesn't have much experience in combat. He praises his teaching as absolutely outstanding compared to the basic techniques which he excels at. Advanced techniques no less. If he accumulates more combat experience, then he will also be able to sort things out quickly, no matter what. Now you two are brothers. He hopes he can go with him to the Shaolin Temple. Coincidentally, he is also on his way there. The 3 of them continue their journey. They go to the Shaolin Temple. In another scene, 2 old men feel it's coming. The god of chaos is coming. He goes to the Shaolin Temple to visit the abbot of the Shaolin Temple, young Master Bull, and the youth of the other 3 famous families. But after that, the 4 clans Namgang, Jiggle, Moying, and Tang were all famous clans. Heirs of the 4 clans, had the same age and same strength. The ancestors all wanted to form a group to unify all the clans, but when they started working, they competed for the position of dominance, with equality. His strength is difficult to choose who is the leader. And so the abbot of the Shaolin Temple, young Bull, will be the judge when he arrives at the Shaolin Temple. Nam Gung Animal introduces Lee Sung-min as his younger brother, a swordsman who will reach the peak when he is less than 20 years old. At this moment, Lee Sung-min understands why he accepted it as his younger brother. If he had a younger brother who could reach the ultimate at 18, then he would increase his status. And then, among the 4 stars of the clan, the 4 families' representative went to the appointed place. Lee Sung-min and Scarlet went to the living room. After a while, someone came to announce that Abbott wanted to meet him. When he met him, the first question he asked was that he is loved by the god of chaos. Lee Sung-min asked again and got no answer. Mystique is very similar to Kim Jong-un. Abbott said that if you go north in 5 years in a place of eternal ice and snow, you will meet an important person. Lee Sungmin has a couple with Ji-hak who inherited the future of Shaolin Temple. And then Ji-hak told his master that he was sorely lacking in terms of experience, even if the arts he studied were the most numerous. Going forward, he still couldn't bring out his full potential. Ji-hak guessed that he couldn't completely control the excessive amount of internal energy, causing his body to lose balance. Abbott went to look at Lee Sungmin's body, and then, in an abnormal state of trying advanced knowledge of martial arts, you have a gong representing awakening, suddenly from the body's internal workings, a state where his body hasn't opened yet. 2 pulses and head stills. Even though he has very high Qigong knowledge, Qigong is still stuck to his body and could not be used. And then, Abbott gave the solution to Lee Sungmin first, to clear the pulse, and direct the pulse after finishing the new Qi flow will circulate smoothly, and he will easily control the internal energy he commanded. From now on, Ji-hak will help the child understand martial arts. Otherwise, in 10 years, he will be possessed by fire. There is one of his favorite children who came here to ask him to teach him. And if he came, it was Weiji Hoyon he learned from him, that Weiji Hoyon had visited the Shaolin Temple. He was someone with extraordinary power, that Ji-hak lost badly. When it was announced that he would be staying here for a while to train with Ji-hak, Namgung him surprised, because even he has never played with Ji-hak. And even though Lee Sungmin said that Ji-hak is very strong, he has never met him. They are a secret weapon that will never leave their cult. That's why they are only heard of, but never met. So Lee Sungmin will stay in Shaolin. Namgung, he feels sorry because he still intended to take her back to the Namgun. The Scarlet Clan also said goodbye to her. She wanted to travel to and fro with no particular purpose. And if she continues to stay, she will gain nothing. So she leaves Scarlet, leaving her a necklace connected to her soul wherever she wants to meet her. The ring will send a signal. She also gave Baek Sogo one. She wanted him to train hard by the time she was rescued by him. And then, Lee Sungmin again asked why he treated her so well. This time Scarlet answered, because she has a certain charm. Doc and June said the same thing. After seeing the two of them leave, Lee Sungmin was determined to train. You have shed your devil's spear and armor. You will leave your feeble mind and all this here. 5 years from now, where eternal snow never melts, he will meet a very important person. The time to meet Weiji Hoyon. But after that, 6 years later, news from the dungeon said that Baek Sogo and he will meet in 5 years. The key person in the prophecy is most likely Baek Sogo. Anyway, Lee Sungmin only has 5 years left. Lee Sungmin continues to train with Ji Right. He could feel that he had worked really hard. The spearmanship he learned must be a high-level technique, but it was still too clumsy. Lee Sungmin said that because he ran away with even more intense training, he couldn't improve. However, Lee Sungmin ran away and learned other skills more easily. Ji-hak explained to him that if anyone who learned every 3 sets of swordsmanship could become a high-level martial artist, there was no need to learn more top-level martial arts dharma. On top of that, he had fled tens of thousands of peak martial arts, and then Master devoted their lives to study. Therefore, Lee Sungmin had no intention of running away anymore. Ji-hak wanted him to understand that the path of martial arts is endless, to know that he was lacking in what he saw and overcome. He was not a genius. A true genius flies away while you're still crawling. You can despair. However, don't let it overwhelm you if you can't fly away, if you can't walk on all fours, if you can crawl again. Ji-hak hopes Lee Sungmin will think, will Weiji Hoyon and Baek Sogo not be good teachers, because they can only teach him things from a genius point of view. Ji-hak was more adept at teaching since he had been taught by many monks. And then, ever since childhood, one night 6 months later, Abbott came to see Lee Sungmin, wanted to know what he had learned. He learned to crawl. Abbott praised him for doing well. It was time for him to learn. Time has passed. It had now been over a year and a half since Lee Sungmin arrived at Shaolin. Lee Sungmin is now 20 years old. And then Lee Sungmin asked Ji-hak if he didn't feel bothered by helping him. Because he is weak. This was Lee Sungmin's bad habit. Even though he had gotten stronger, he still couldn't completely shake off his inferiority complex. Lee Sungmin was worried that Ji-hak wouldn't be able to improve because of his sparring with him. Thus, he asked if it was okay to spend his time on this. Ji-hak didn't know why Lee Sungmin thought that way, but he didn't think so. He said sparring with Lee Sungmin had really helped him. When sparring with Lee Sung-min, he could recall the martial arts he had learned before. It was a process he had to go through to comprehend the Shaolin martial arts that required deep understanding. There is no end to learning martial arts, and Ji-hak wants to reach a higher place in life. Because of this, Ji-hak asked Lee Sung-min if he didn't have the same wish. After hearing what Ji-hak said, Lee Sung-min finally realized the real reason why he asked that question. It could be because he is still attached to his previous life. He still doubts the people who are kind to him. Actually, there was no reason for Lee Sung-min to doubt them. Even though there were many strange situations, Lee Sung-min was afraid to face all of them head-on. If those people's good intentions became his heart's pillar of support after the regression. Ji-hak's earlier words kept ringing in Lee Sung-min's head. His current dream is not to finish his martial arts, even if Weiji Hoyan admits it. Lee Sung-min now returned to where Master Bullyoung was. Now Lee Sung-min doesn't want to run away anymore. He wanted to change himself. Because of this, Lee Sung-min asked if he knew anything about the blessings he has. Master Bullyoung asked if Lee Sung-min finally got the courage to ask that. When Lee Sung-min first met Master Bullyoung and inquired about the whereabouts that helped him, Master Bullyoung didn't want to answer him. However, Lee Sung-min wondered, what if he didn't ask about his whereabouts, but the effect of his blessing? It had been more than a year and a half since Lee Sung-min had arrived at Shaolin. Thus, Master Bullyoung asked what reason Lee Sung-min had for asking that question, now that Lee Sung-min could have asked about it earlier. That's right, Lee Sung-min could have asked him. So Lee Sung-min replied that he was afraid to face himself. In the past, he was indeed afraid. But now Lee Sung-min didn't want to run away anymore. Master Bullyoung really liked Lee Sung-min's current facial expression. Master Bullyoung also said, as Lee Sung-min had expected, among the many effects that existed, Lee Sung-min had one of them. That is to make everyone feel sorry for Lee Sung-min. Hearing that, Lee Sung-min felt an indescribable feeling. But Master Bullyoung said the blessing only affected his appearance. He explained basically, the blessing only helped Lee Sung-min's first impression. If he is difficult to get along with, people will still leave Lee Sung-min even though he has that blessing. If Lee Sung-min gets something from people, he says it's all because of Lee Sung-min or the things he has done. That means all the relationships that Lee Sung-min has made so far are not lies. Hearing that made Lee Sung-min unable to contain his feelings. He also thanked Master Bullyoung. Master Bullyoung then offered that if Lee Sung-min wanted, he could remove the part of the blessing that Lee Sung-min had. It meant people wouldn't have a good impression when they met Lee Sung-min. If Lee Sung-min wanted to have a clean relationship without guilt, Master Bullyoung offered that he could do that for him. Lee Sung-min also asked Master Bullyoung to do that. After a while, Namgung Hee-won came to visit Lee Sung-min. Seeing the clothes worn by Lee Sung-min, Namgung Hee-won asked whether he became a monk while living in this place. Contrary to his expectations, Lee Sung-min still had his hair. Namgung Hee-won laughed too. Since they had not seen each other for a long time, Namgung Hee-won invited Lee Sung-min to have a drink together. Namgung Hee-won then threw his cup hard. Lee Sung-min, who was able to catch the cup, said that this was too much for a joke. Namgung Hee-won then complimented Lee Sung-min for getting stronger. He congratulates her for reaching the highest peak. He told her that Lady Mo-young had married Yegal Tae-young. Lee Sung-min could imagine what had happened. Namgung Hee-won then said that Lady Mo-young said she didn't like his arrogant and haughty attitude, so he trained like crazy to forget it and reach the highest peak. He felt it was a pitiful level he reached to forget about his failed romance. Because of that, Namgung Hee-won was still satisfied with it, and asked how about Lee Sung-min. He asked if practicing here was fun. Lee Sung-min replied that he really enjoyed it. Namgung Hee-won could feel that Lee Sung-min had changed a lot. The amused vibe that he had felt from Lee Sung-min the first time they met was now gone. After he thought about it, it was the first time he met Lee Sung-min. He said that he felt a strange feeling in his heart every time he saw Lee Sung-min. He didn't feel that anymore, but for a moment she thought that she had feelings for a boy. Hearing that, Lee Sung-min smiled and said that was good. But Namgung Hee-won didn't understand what Lee Sung-min meant by good. After another year passed and Lee Sung-min turned 22 years old, he left Shaolin. Lee Sung-min was given the task by Master Bullyoung to deliver a letter to the head of the manhua sect in Dremor. This went well, because the god of time, the temple of dAnime that Mershi spoke of, was in Drymore as well. Lee Sung-min wondered if he might use the power of divination. He then summoned Neville from his shadow. On being summoned, Neville bowed his head and saluted and asked what he needed. Lee Sung-min said that he wanted to buy some information about Sword Phantom Dokbi Jun and Flash Beck, and lastly, Little Heavenly Demon Weiji Hoyeon. About Flashback Sogo, he does volunteer work to help weak people. Thanks to that, he became quite famous. It had been a week since he had lived in the big city of Rubes. About Sword Phantom Dokbi Jun, he made himself known through challenges. He was on a sparring trip to find famous sects and martial experts to fight against. He is currently heading to the manhua sect, which is in Drymore. Lee Sung-min didn't expect Dokbi Jun to go to manhua sect. He thought that he might be able to meet her later. And the last one is information about Little Heavenly Demon. Lee Sung-min became even more interested. The Little Heavenly Demon, Weiji Hoyeon. He had already amassed quite a following thanks to his great charisma and strength. His followers numbered 20 people, but they were all peak-level martial artists and above. Because of that, many people are wary of them. Among that party was the Blood Heavenly Demon, Baek Museon. He was the ruler of the northernmost area. And Little Heavenly Demon's group was heading north to the Baek Museon territory. Most likely they will fight soon. Neville predicted that the Blood Heavenly Demon that ruled the entire area for a long time would win. But according to Lee Sung-min, Neville was wrong. Neville was surprised too. Lee Sung-min firmly believed that Little Heavenly Demon would win. Currently, Lee Sung-min was looking at the crystal ball. Weiji Hoyeon is seen in the crystal ball. It's been 8 years since Lee Sung-min last saw her. She thought that she was getting prettier. After a while, he realized what he had just thought. Lee Sung-min felt strange. He had never met a Blood Heavenly Demon and a Little Heavenly Demon in his previous life, and Weiji Hoyeon disguised herself as a man in her previous life, but now she wanders openly as a woman. This made Lee Sung-min feel troubled, thinking what would change this thing compared to his previous life. And also, the dispute with the Blood Heavenly Demon. Lee Sung-min wanted to head north this time to help Weiji Hoyeon. However, they would not meet for another 2 years. Lee Sung-min remembered Weiji Hoyeon, who told Lee Sung-min to make him his goal. Because that's what they promised. Weiji Hoyeon will always be a goal for Lee Sung-min, which meant Lee Sung-min had to do what he had to do. He was sure that Weiji Hoyeon would defeat the Blood Heavenly Demon quickly and was waiting for him at the peak. So he had to keep his promise to become stronger. But he suddenly thought that he felt like he had broken one of his promises. On the other hand, Weiji Hoyeon was disappointed because in the end, he couldn't have big breasts. Before long, his underlings came up to him and suggested it would be best if he slept a bit longer. Because he was called Master, Weiji Hoyeon reminded him that he had told him not to call him that. He never made them his subjects. He then warned that he would not stop them from following him, but that they should not expect anything from him. After saying that, Weiji Hoyeon could feel the stares from his subordinates. Those eyes that looked expecting something, Weiji Hoyeon didn't like it. He had gotten countless stares like that ever since he became the young cult master of the demonic cult. He wondered if he should have killed them all. Besides that, he missed Lee Sung-min. While Weiji Hoyeon was thinking that, someone called Weiji Hoyeon. Because he looked excited, Baek Museon asked if Weiji Hoyeon had fought him. Since he himself was a heavenly demon, Weiji Hoyeon said that he was curious how strong the Blood Heavenly Demon was. Hearing that, Baek Museon laughed because Weiji Hoyeon spoke as if he wanted to test him. Weiji Hoyeon then said that Baek Museon should consider himself unlucky because he was the only one he could easily find. Baek Museon got annoyed and was about to say something, but he was interrupted by Weiji Hoyeon. Weiji Hoyeon asked what hand Baek Museon used to lift the spoon. Baek Museon became flustered because of that question. Weiji Hoyeon then said that he would let the hand remain. Lee Sung-min finally arrived at manhua sect. When he wanted to enter, he was stopped by a guard and asked what his purpose was from coming here. Lee Sung-min also told him that he had come because of an assignment from Master Bull-young. The guard immediately became polite and offered Lee Sung-min to escort him to the sect leader. Lee Sung-min then thought that after he finished here, he should find the god of time. dAnime. Suddenly, someone called Lee Sung-min. Turning towards the sound, he saw Dokbi Jun. Jun also said that he had not seen him for a long time. Lee Sung-min was happy because Jun still remembered him. But for Jun, there was no way he could forget what happened on that mountain, because it was the most difficult period in his life. He even said that he might not forget all those things until he died. Out of curiosity, Lee Sung-min asked how Jun could recognize him right away. Because while on the mountain, his vision is prohibited. Jun replied that he remembered the internal energy that Lee Sung-min emitted. He felt Lee Sung-min at that time was just a kid, but he could see that Lee Sung-min had grown from that time. They both feel happy about their progress. Since Lee Sung-min had business at Manhwa sect, Jun suggested not to worry about him and go about his business. Lee Sung-min didn't realize what Jun meant, but the two guards behind him glared at Lee Sung-min sharply. After Lee Sung-min left, Jun's hands began to shake. He felt weak. He felt like he was about to be devoured. After being guided, Lee Sung-min was greeted by the head of the Manhwa sect, Sage Sung-ha. Lee Sung-min also told him that he had come because of an assignment from Master Bulyong. Of course, Sage Sung-ha knew. He informed that the current leader of the Murim Alliance was resigning from his position, so he asked Master Bulyong to become the next alliance leader. In the message, it was only written that he didn't want to. Sage Sung-ha, who knew this would happen, threw the scroll. To change the subject, Sage Sung-ha said that he heard from his students that Lee Sung-min knew Sword Phantom. Lee Sung-min replied that they happened to meet before and informed him that he was waiting right outside the sect. Jun wants to fight Sage Sung-ha. However, Sage Sung-ha had no intention of doing so. When asked the reason by Lee Sung-min, Sage Sung-ha began to tell. He is also a martial artist and he enjoys fighting them with strength. It was not a problem for him to accept a challenge from someone who was qualified and strong enough. However, Sword Phantom was very dangerous for him. Lee Sung-min also visited Jun. He asked if it was true that he used evil sorcery. Hearing that, Jun again asked what Sage Sung-ha had said, that he didn't want to accept the challenge because he used evil sorcery. Lee Sung-min also asked what kind of evil sorcery was Jun. He thought Jun only studied sword techniques. Instead of answering, Jun asked if Lee Sung-min had ever reached his limit before. Lee Sung-min replied that he had. However, Jun doesn't think so. He thought Lee Sung-min was too young to discuss boundaries, and asked if Lee Sung-min ever felt growing old. Even if he used internal energy to slow down aging, he could still feel the strength in his fingers slowly disappearing. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get back to his prime. He then asked if Lee Sung-min knew what despair was. Even if he had to try evil sorcery and throw away his honor as a martial artist, a desperate Jun asked if Lee Sung-min had ever felt the despair of wanting more despite all that. Silence began to fill the place. Jun also asked Lee Sung-min to leave, because he didn't want to show her his bad side any longer. Lee Sung-min, who felt sad, left while feeling that he had no right to say anything. He wanted to focus on other tasks and forget about that, and search for Danir's shrine that Mercy had told him. Seeing that building, Lee Sung-min wondered why it was called a temple instead of a hut. But when he entered the Dala, the god of time, Danir chased him away. But as soon as he saw the mark on Lee Sung-min's chest, Danir realized that it belonged to Mercy. He became annoyed because he was sent someone who was very troublesome. He then asked Lee Sung-min if he was a person who traveled through time to come here. Lee Sung-min was also impressed. As he had expected, the god knew right away. Of course, he is the god of time. That's why he doesn't like people who manipulate time like Lee Sung-min, because he disrupts the flow of the world. Lee Sung-min didn't understand what Danir meant. Danir then asked if Lee Sung-min was living his life the same as before, performing the exact same actions as in his previous life, eating the same food, sleeping at the same time, and meeting the same people. Hearing that, Lee Sung-min naturally thought that there was no way he could do that. Danir then said every change that Lee Sung-min made would accumulate and result in future changes to the world's flow. Lee Sung-min also realized what he meant. Ouija Hoyeon stopped disguising himself as a man, and he had an altercation with the blood-heavenly demon that had never happened in his previous life. Danir then told him that it was Lee Sung-min's existence that had distorted time, and changes from the flow will continue to occur.